Oh, yes, yes. The proof is in the pudding, but the truth is in the pie, my friends. It's me. It's unjust. I'm vibrating at that pizza frequency. I'm on the other end of the spectrum from the slow rise Noel Brohner pizza. I am your co-host, your cohort, your co-conspirator here in this pizza universe that we find ourselves in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. September 26, 2020. The hits just keep on coming, guys. Wore my special shirt today. Yes, yes, yes. The middle worlds of, in the immortal words of Pink Floyd, I wish you were beer. So actually, I think it was Billy Shakes that said it too in Julius Caesar Salad. Friends, Roman pizza makers, country breads, give me a beer. Very, very little known fact that Billy Shakes was known across hill and dale for his starters of sorts. It's true. It's true. Don't look it up, but it's true. Just trust me. You guys know who I am. I'm just the pizza frequency. I am the cohort, the co-conspirator, the clown prince, the court jester of the pizza party. Noel and I, for the past couple months, have been doing classes on Zoom. We started with the old Zoom 2020 after the Pizza Expo was shut down because of the corona, as I like to say. We're all in that little thing together. The more we get together, the happier we will be. And so what we've been doing is we've been doing these classes. We've been offering a beginner class and an intermediate class and an advanced class for the past couple months. And we've been having a great time making and baking pizza with people. So guys, today what we are going to be doing, this is our Zoom free webinar. I'm really excited. We had one last night with Michele, and we were talking about some classes. We're going to augment the class schedule a little bit. We're going to talk about that today. Guys, what we're going to do is Noel and I are going to have a kind of a Q&A, a little bit of back and forth for a little bit. And then we're going to bring on Adam Kuban. He's going to come in because we're going to be talking about doing some classes with Adam. You guys know Adam. He's the maestro of the pizza of the internet, Margot's Pizza Pop-Up. Adam has been guiding and eating and telling us ways to make pizza for a long time, since the dawn of the internet. And we really appreciate that. And then we're going to bring on old Dan Richer from Razza Pizzeria. I think it was, if you're looking for New York pizza, go to New Jersey. So that will be very exciting and fun today, guys. What we did, I just want to tell everybody, please get in the Q&A if you have questions. We'll be fielding some questions. Whenever you feel like you have a question or you want us to answer something, please don't get too specific. If you have a super specific question, guys, we're probably going to hold off on that. Last night we had some questions that were, if I'm using this percentage and this and this and this and this, and I'm cooking at this and this and this, it might be a little advanced for the old free web seminar. We do encourage you guys to jump on the old slowrisepizza.com to check out the classes that we offer. Hey, if you do, you get to spend a little bit more QT with yours truly, Unjust, so it couldn't be that bad. I mean, not only do I have the gift of gab, but I'm pretty handsome too, I've been told. So guys, remember, I do wish you were, holy moly, my computer's falling apart here, guys. So that's the deal. That's what we're going to do today, guys. We're going to bring some people on. We're going to talk shop. I love talking shop. I love talking pizza. Pizza is something, and you'll hear me say it a bunch. It's not, it doesn't just nurture your belly, but I think it nurtures your soul. And I think that, I joke about resonating at that pizza frequency, but I think the fact that we're all sitting here and we want to talk about pizza and we want to learn to make better pizza, that I think we're all resonating at that pizza frequency. And to me, that means something more like a feeling that you get when you're literally getting to break bread with people that you give a shit about. That's what's important to me. Let's get together. We're all going to get through this. Let's make pizza and share it with people that we give a shit about. I always say that the only people that don't like pizza are jerks. And hey, I'm not trying to hang out with jerks anyhow. So I'm going to bring on the man, the myth himself. I'm going to ring my blue bell, and we're going to start this. We're going to start the jam, guys. If you are hanging out there, if you have some questions. You want to know what we're doing, what the game plan is, what the future classes look like, what we've been doing in the past. Please don't hesitate to hit me up in the Q&A, and I will try to answer that. If you are in the chat, Oh, the audio is a little low. I don't know, Adam. Maybe it's just the comp. Hello, hello, hello. Test, test, test. I will double check my audio setting. Hello, hello, hello. Guys, sorry, Zoom has a tendency to keep updating, and so we're all at the mercy of Zoom. But thank you guys for spending your Saturday morning or early Saturday afternoon with us. We love things like pizza. We love things like talking about pizza. We love things like making pizza. We love eating pizza with people that we care about and sharing pizza and talking about making pizza while we're eating pizza. Wish you were beer. Let's get this party started. Noel, are you standing by? I'm going to ring the blue bell of pizza. You know, some people say it's the blue bell of happiness, or not to be confused with the blue bell of ice cream, but this is the blue bell of pizza. So here he comes. Ladies and gentlemen, Noel, Mr. Slow Rise himself. If you're out there, Noel, jump on. Show me what you're working with. There he is. Good morning.
You know I'm here.
No, that was for the audience.
Oh, I thought you forgot about me.
Oh, you can't undercut. That was only 7 minutes. I thought that was good.
It was an excellent 7 minutes. I enjoyed it to the fullest.
Thank you. I mean, people say, I should do stand-up.
I think you should do stand-up.
No.
You're doing sit-down. That's what I like better, actually.
That's what I should do. I'm great at sit-down. Are you kidding me?
You don't have to wear pants to sit down, do you?
That's one of the things we talk about, guys. So when we do have our classes, instead of today, we're just going to keep everybody kind of as 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 participants, or I'm sorry, as attendees and not panelists. However, when we are doing our classes, we encourage everybody to jump over from attendees to panelists so we can have a back and forth. We can actually answer those longer questions that you're talking about. We can look at your dough and maybe try to troubleshoot. Yeah. Oh boy, the boss he's having issues. He's got to check his 2 refrigerators, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. Uh-oh, wearing the wrong apron. You guys are seeing it. Behind the scenes, this is free Zoom webinar stuff, guys. You don't get this in the class. I get yelled at if I don't tell him to wear his white apron. However, in the free Zoom webinar, this is all access. This is all access. Guys, Dave, it was fine when I held it close. All right, so I'm worried that my mic is screwing with me today.
We had that problem yesterday. It sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Well, are you saying is the recording quality still a bit on the low side?
It shouldn't be. I apologize, guys. I'm gonna.
I don't think it's a problem. I mean, not to me. So we'll figure it out. Don't worry.
Test. Check.
People are saying it sounds good to them. So Adam, check your connection. We love you, Adam. But I don't know about Wi-Fi in Queens. I just don't know. I'm not saying anything disparaging. I just don't know.
Yeah. I think
Queens is known for a lot of things. Maybe not Wi-Fi.
I think it was all that light that was shining down that was Adam.
Definitely.
Ladies and gentlemen, he had this beautiful aura of light around him. So thank you guys for answering in the chat. Guys, one thing I do want to talk about though is if yesterday we had a bunch of questions in the Q&A, and then we had also a bunch of questions in the chat because we are a bunch of pizza dorks, pizza geeks, passionate pizza people. If somebody in the chat asks a question and you might have some insight, guys, please feel free. I get a little in the weeds trying to answer everything, trying to pitch anything, but help your fellow pizza people out. If they have, yesterday we had questions about maybe sourcing some materials. We had questions about oven temps. We had questions about some hydration things. If you guys have insight into some of your methods, feel free, guys. Pizza is the sum of its parts. What we try to do is work on the foundation so we can build on it. And Noel and I'll talk about that, but please, if you do have any insight, we didn't get to every question yesterday. We try to do our best. So
Justin, I have a question. So I see that we got a comment in the Q&A from David Zucker. Thank you, David. He said, you sound like a hot Defara pie. Now, that's not really a question. That's something that, for me, should go in the chat because it's something that people should be able to chat about, right? Do you sound like a hot Defara pie or do you not? So do you want to even use the Q&A section, or should it all be done in the chat?
No, I like the Q&A, guys. If you do have questions, let's use the Q&A. If you're into silly quips or that sort of stuff, go throw that in the chat.
Yeah, I like that, Justin.
Trying to be Teflon over here.
Trying to be Teflon.
I'll put in my laugh cry.
I like it. All right, Justin. So here's something we're going to try today. It's been a long time since we did a free Zoom webinar. We're a little out of practice, but we still have some polls fired up. So maybe throughout the first hour, before we bring on Adam Kuban, before we bring on Dan, what is it? Richter?
Richer. That's I think that basically, you know, the story that I've heard is, you know, everything he touches turning to gold, including his pizza pie. So he's just richer and richer and richer. So
the guy almost single-handedly put Jersey back on the map for pizza, wouldn't you say?
You know, I haven't had his pizza, unfortunately.
Oh, it's so good.
One of these days,
good.
I'm gonna rent a Winnebago, the family truckster, the EM50 from Stripes, and I'm just gonna go around and just assault with my stomach all these pizza places that I would like to.
Yes. Oh.
My wife, and she's saying she can't eat any more pizza because during COVID, I've been making so much pizza, and we've been eating pizza 3 and 4 times a week. So she says, no more pizza. But you know what? I'm gonna keep doing it. What is a hot Dafarna pie anyway? I don't even know what that is.
Oh, Dafara, I'm sure Adam Kuban will tell you all about it. It's one of the seminal pizzerias, if not the seminal pizzeria in Brooklyn. It's a great place, and the old man himself, last I checked, last I was there, was still making pretty much every pie, with a lot of help from his family.
Great. Hey, I just sorry guys, I guess I mixed it up. I thought Adam was going first and Dan was going second, but I think I got them reversed. I think Danny's going to come in first, and then AK is going to bring him the rear. So, you know, hey, sorry about that. My bad, but I'm glad we cleared that up. Chad's got a question. Noel, this is a good one. Hey, can you how much experience you need to start with the intermediate class? Like, why would you start with the beginner? Why would you start with the intermediate? And let me do something real quick.
Excellent. All right, so guys, a couple of quick things. That's a great question. We get it all the time. I give you a different answer every time depending on how I'm feeling or what I'm thinking about, but my answers are evolving. And so here's my current answer. Number one, if you want any help at all baking your pizza, you definitely want to start with the beginner class, because we spend an entire 2 hours helping people to hack their home ovens, right? Whether you're using an old gas oven in your rental apartment, or a brand new electric oven with convection in your home, if you've got an uni or a rock box or a wood-fired oven, we help with the bake. It's up to this point, the beginner class is the only class where we actually bake pizza, because I want people to have the experience of hand mixing with us for 2 full hours and the experience of baking with us, so we can go over shaping and balling and everything in a beginner kind of way. Then if you go to the intermediate class, hopefully you'll have had decent amount of experience, making pizza, both dough and baking. Yeah, and then we get pretty advanced pretty fast. I call it the intermediate class, but by everybody else's standard, it's a pretty advanced class.
Yeah, can I just jump in here real quick? One thing don't focus on in the beginner class, like Noel said, guys, I know that this is slow rise, and we want to be in control, and we want to take our time and nurture our dough. And so I think it is the beginner class. We encourage everybody to use their hands, get to know their dough, listen to their dough. We do like an hour-long plus mix, and I think that gets confused a lot. You're not mixing for an hour. You're mixing for 20 minutes, but the rest of the time, the rest of the 40 minutes, you're allowing the dough to rest and stuff like that. And so we talk really about listening to your dough, nurturing your dough, being in control of your dough, not over mixing your dough. And then, like Noel says, then we take it and we bake it. We get on that make to bake schedule. And then on the intermediate class, we start doing some math, and we have Margot, Adam Kuban's daughter, to thank for putting us all to shame, because she was able to do the old DDT, desired dough temperature math, very quickly. But for the beginner class, guys, we don't say you don't have to have a scale. You don't have to have a thermometer, although we encourage that. Just because the more notes that you can take, the better your pizza is going to be, because a recipe does not a pizza make. It has more to do with technique and application of technique and filling in the variables in your pizza equation. But for the intermediate and advanced guys, please don't take it unless you have a reliable thermometer and a good scale to weigh out your ingredients, because consistency is king. We'll be you want to eat it, let's work backwards. That kind of attitude going on. So hopefully, Noel, you want to jump on any of that?
No, all good. You summarized it extremely well. Extremely well. If you have any more questions about any of those classes, we're happy to answer them. Most people send me an email and we kind of go back and forth a few times, or DM me on Instagram so I can help them figure out. I'm very happy to take emails or DMs on Instagram to help you guys figure out where to start, because what I really don't like, even though we do it all the time, is like a lot of people will start in the advanced and then go back to the intermediate. Most people, if they feel like they have a good amount of experience, and when many of you do, home baking, you don't really need help firing a pizza. Many of you are already really good. So the intermediate, if you let's say you have anywhere from a year or two on up of experience, you can pretty much skip the basic class. The one thing that we do try to get across though in the basic class is really about not over mixing your dough from the beginning, even by hand, and letting time do a lot of the work. So we really spend a good 2.5 hours in the beginner class just mixing the dough, and kind of looking at the stages of gluten development, and how there are certain visual cues and audio cues, and there's a lot going on there. So we try to take our time.
And what we've done, guys, is we try to build it. Like the beginner class leads into the intermediate class, and then also, Noel, what we do is we talk. I like to say we do a little philo dough, the philosophy of the dough in the intermediate class. It's we do a mix, and then we basically sit down and we talk about the 14 steps of artisan baking. So it's more of a seminar about the philosophy behind the consistency and the nurturing of the dough. And then when we get to the more advanced, we're doing the intensive mix, is the hyper mix or the spaz mix. I say that because I was always called a spaz. I bet you guys couldn't believe that. And then we do a sit down and we talk baker's percentages and pre-ferments. So it is good to kind of have, we encourage everybody to start at the beginner, go to the intermediate, and go to the advanced, unless, like Noel was saying. However, when people say, should I take them all in one weekend? We nix on tricks. Do not do that, because like I said, a recipe does not a pizza make. It has a lot to do with the application of technique, and us encouraging you guys to write down and take notes. And the more you do it, the better you get. You burn, you learn. It takes a little bit to digest and ingest all the information that Noel is spitting. Noel?
Yeah, no, all true, all true. Let's see. Again, it's actually a really important question, because one of the parts of my philosophy is whether you're a home baker or a professional, I really need everybody to develop a good hand feel, a relationship with the dough. And even the pizzerias that I work at, I always require everybody to finish the gluten development by hand. Even if we're making 600 pounds of dough a day, we're pulling out 30, 40 pound chunks, and we're finishing with 1 or 2 stretch and fold. So you really can't depend on technology, on big mixers to do all the work. So underdeveloping the dough in the mixer and finishing by hand is a huge part of my philosophy and a lot of artisan bakers. And so if you don't have that hand feel, it's a great way to develop that is to spend time working with dough. We've just launched our on-demand classes, and for all of you who have taken classes, we hope that we're going to have discount codes out to you guys by Tuesday or Wednesday. But we're giving people pretty deep discounts on those on-demand classes. So if it's something you don't want to spend $100 on, you can get a discount to do the on-demand class beginner on your own, or any of the classes on demand. So we're trying to give people as good a discount as we can, because the live classes often sell out. You don't get the live support that you get on an on-demand class that you do on a live. But I think for those of you who have a lot of experience, you can go without and then send me an email to follow up.
But Noel, you also said that in the future, as we, hopefully people jump on those on-demand classes, that you and I are probably going to be offering some office hours.
That would be great.
Doing more of these kind of Zoom office hours. If you've taken the class, or if you watch the class, if you have more questions, come on, we'll wax and wane with you on the, on what's going on with your doji dough. My friend and yours, Kelabone, has a little question here. And I think that this is one that we kind of talk about. And she likes to use a baking steel. I love using the baking steels. The name brand baking steel is a great product. I also have a guy on eBay that if anybody is interested, will cut you and season you one for whatever your oven is. And hey, it's 2020, so thrifty is sexy if you smell what I'm stepping in. But she's asking, what have you found is the best rack to cook that at? And I know that that's kind of a loaded question, because there's a lot of times we say there are only more questions in the answer. So Noel, what would be the best rack to cook at if you're using a baking steel?
I mean, do you mean the level of the rack or the type of the rack?
I think the level of the rack. I think the best rack level to cook at.
Well, it depends on the heat source. So what we found in the beginner 1 part 2 class is that if you're going for a New York style pizza and the heat source is on the bottom, then as close to the bottom as you can, so you can kind of emulate the pizza deck oven that you find in a lot of old school New York pizzerias. If your heat source is on the top, that's more akin to maybe a Neapolitan style pizza. So you may want to, again, bring your rack down to as low as possible, so you get a nice balance of top and bottom heat. That would be my best answer.
Great.
Yep.
Good. And
can we go back up to, when you're done with this, can we go up to that question from Chris about
to next?
Perfect.
Yeah, Chris is asking, any plans to keep the JC love going and collabing with Rick Easton at Bread and Salt? No.
So I am a big fan of Rick. We have communicated before, never met in person. His work is really beautiful. So I actually have a piece of paper of all of the people I have not yet reached out to. So thanks for that. I just added him to the bottom of my list, but he'll actually be at the top of my list. So I'll definitely reach out this week. Thanks. That's a good one. Anybody else you guys want me to reach out to, let me know. I'm all about it. I hate cold calling people unless it's about pizza.
Whoa. Throwing the H word around. Jesus.
All right. Sometimes I'm uncomfortable cold calling people unless it's for pizza.
Hey, I think the pizza brings us all together. So I think, it's kind of like a lukewarm call. Let's not, and don't use that H word. We've got enough.
Sorry.
These days. End all hate, guys. Endallhate.com. All right. So Giovanni's asking a question. Will you have a pizza Neapolitana contemporary style course? Pre-ferment, higher hydration, longer fermentation, bigger, hairy rim. We were talking about that actually.
I'm sorry, he said hairy, but I think he meant airy.
No, I think it's hairy. It's got.
No.
It's like my beard. Like this. Like just imagine you're eating this. This is the rim of a pizza.
I think I can answer that question. No to the hairy rim, but yes to everything else. So yesterday we had Michele, one of our Neapolitan brethren. He was on for 2 hours with us, and we are planning 3 classes with him. We're going to be doing a Roman-style high hydration pizza class. That's going to be an advanced class part 2. We are going to be doing I call it a Neapolitan 2.0 class, where we do exactly what you just asked about. That's going to be also an also an advanced class part 2. We'll be using pre-ferments and high hydration and lots of other fun stuff. Let's see. And what was the third class? Oh, we're also going to do an intermediate class part 2 with Michele, where we're going to do what he calls New York Artisan, where you're using pre-ferments and also higher hydration, but not like 85 or 90, probably closer to, 72, 75%. But that's going to be an awesome class.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, we've been seeing those huge cornichones, right?
Oh yeah, he corrected us. Thank you, Justin. You have a good memory.
No, it's my glaucoma. Don't get confused. But yeah, Michele corrected us last night. We always say cornichone or cornichone for the crust, and he says no, it's cornichone. So that's where the inflection is. Very interesting. But I'm loving that. I love things like crust. Anybody that doesn't eat their bones, hey, nothing against you, but just save them for me. Don't throw them out. I'll eat them. I love the bones. I'm going to people at, I follow the kids around. Well, okay, I'm not even going to go there. But people that don't eat their bones, I follow them around to pizza places. I'm like, yo, you going to eat that? Hey, and I'll even go so far as I'll bring in some of that garlic butter dipping sauce, if you know what I mean. I got that in my pocket. I'm not saying where I get it from. All right, no haters. All right, Joe has got a great question here, Noel, and I'm excited about this one too. Have you guys done, or are you thinking about doing, a gluten-free class as of yet? So I love it, Joe. Thank you very much. we've had a lot of people ask about that, and we have friends that have, we've the Authentic Foods has a mix, but I think maybe starting from scratch and talking about some of those, some of the flours getting in there. I know, Noel, you just worked on somebody that shall not be named, but you just did some gluten-free stuff, did you not?
I did. NDA in place. I also did a vegan project. So yeah, we're working on, you know what? I don't like any of those products, but if you can use really delicious ingredients, really nice grains, and source very carefully, you can get some really nice product.
I mean, I tell you though, I mean, I have been seeing, there's some people on the old Instas that I have been seeing that have been doing some fantastic looking gluten-free crusts that I would like to try. I mean, if you can't tell the difference. A lot of like people are doing Detroit style gluten-free, and it just looks, to the naked eye, it's the Pepsi challenge. I wouldn't be able to tell the difference just by looking at it. So I would really like to do that. Not that I encourage gluten-free, but I know a lot of people suffer these days from the old. We had somebody was in our class the other day, and he was mixing with, I believe, one of his daughters, and his other daughter was there. And at the end, he was telling us that his wife was so generous because she suffered from celiac, and so they took over the kitchen with flour and stuff everywhere. So it would be nice to have maybe a recipe that we work on and can work out some of that stuff for people because they still want to eat pizza. I'm with you. I with you. I feel your pain. So, no?
I feel your pain too.
Yeah. So Stephen's asking, do you guys know Stephen Lanzolata? Okay. Stephen Lanzolata. He's the owner at Slab in Portland. There's some good threads on his Reddit pizza making to try to replicate his Sicilian pies. Noel, do you know?
I have been following that guy for years. I've never met him or talked to him, but that's a great idea. I just added his name to my list too. Great. Keep those names coming, guys, because we're obviously all on the same page. I'll let you know when you throw out a name that I've never heard of or I don't like, but so far you're 2 for 2. Keep them coming.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let us know what you want, and we'll try to snip it out. Because
we're gonna build I don't know how long I'm gonna be shut in my apartment, but I'm gonna keep calling people until I'm out, and then probably even after that, because this is so much fun.
Yeah, and then we start again. We start again at the top or the bottom.
Well, then we're gonna go to Portland and visit people. We'll hit the road.
I tell you, we'll be in masks and all. Jeez Louise. But thanks, Stephen. That's a great one. So. All right, Deanna. Okay, do we have a recipe for good garlic dipping sauce? I would, I think it's like margarine and garlic powder if you want, but maybe some butter and some fresh garlic, or and maybe a little oregano, or what would you throw in there? I love. What do you do, Noel, when you do your garlic knots? You do maybe crushed garlic and butter, right? Or olive oil? Or
I use olive oil.
We like a little Maldon salt, Maldon.
Yeah, I like some red pepper flakes, or if you have some infused oil, those are even better.
Yeah, I've been doing a hot oil with I pour my red pepper flakes in a jar, put a bunch of olive oil in it, let it sit for a little while, and then use that oil.
I also like a little bit of dry thyme and a little bit of fresh parsley. I think it's a killer combination. Also, I like my oil, my infused oil with raw garlic. So it's something you have to make fresh. I don't mind a little sauteed garlic, but it's a whole different beast. I like the garlic to be like super fresh and fragrant, and I'm not trying to use the stuff that you get from the store that's already peeled and has been sitting refrigerated for God knows how long. So everything has to be fresh and fragrant, and it's really a delicate balance between the hot, right, and the spiciness of the garlic, right, or the pungent flavor, and then the dry thyme is really kind of mellow, but it's definitely there, and it's got a certain sweetness to it, and then the parsley just gives it some beautiful texture, some deep green color. It's awesome, all good.
Now, Noel, when you do your garlic knots, can I ask you a question? You bake them and then you kind of dollop them after the bake, or do you put the garlic?
Yeah, That's just from working in a lot of pizzerias. So the way it works in most pizzerias is that before the shift starts, we'll take some dough from the night before, and we'll take like a dough ball. Let's say we have a, I don't know, a 200-gram dough ball. We'll
Hey,
divide it up into maybe 6 or 7 pieces. What? What?
you said say it. We have a 200-gram dough ball.
We have a 200-gram dough ball. So I'll divide it up, like you would, 25, 30 grams. Make the dough balls, let them rise for a second, right? And then the knots go in the oven basically raw. You can give them a little bit of brushing, but I just do olive oil because the garlic will burn in the oven generally. Then it comes out at about 90% bake, and then it just goes into, we just flash it when people order it so it gets hot. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes. Then when they come out, they go in a bowl with all the ingredients I just listed. And then when they come out, they get a little bit of parm, maybe a tiny bit of black pepper, a little Maldon, as Justin likes to say, and then boom, boom.
Man,
So good.
I love it. I love it. And then maybe a little red sauce to dip it into.
I mean, if you want some, I'm all for a little homemade ranch or some good marinara.
Yeah.
Not everybody is. Somebody was asking about Thai peanut dipping sauce for the nuts, and I was like, oh man,
But
maybe.
Hey, look, this is what we always say, guys, and I know usually I finish with it, but I'll go ahead and say it now. It's pizza always, even pineapple, and always pizza, because like if you like it, it's so subjective, and I know that this is divisive once again, but if you like ranch, I know people say no ranch over here, or if you like pineapple and people say, how dare you ever put this on your thing? If you like Thai peanut sauce, if that's a flavor that resonates with you, eat it. Put it on a pizza pie. Do it up. Thank you. My wife is just bringing me some coffee. No, it's coffee. But it's coffee. It's definitely not a Bloody Buddy. But if you like it, do it. It's so effective. And that's not only for pizza flavors, but that's also for pizza styles. And that's why, just to circle back around, that's why Noel and I said, let's bring these people on that are masters of their different games. Let's try to learn from everybody, because once again, the more we get together, the more we learn and the better everybody's pizza will be. So I say, hey, put whatever you want on that pie. And if you want peanut Thai, garlic sauce, whatever it may be, more power to you. No, we got Brian Spangler. Brian was there with A Pizza Shoals. Brian was with us, at the old.
Wait, Brian Spangler's on the line?
No, Greg saying he should go.
Oh, okay.
So Brian was there with us at the Pizza Zoom 2020. And I know that Brian has been doing a lot of stuff with Peter Reinhardt on the Pizza Quest stuff. And Noel just spent some time with Peter doing a Pizza Quest as well. Noel?
So is somebody suggesting we have Brian on?
Spangler.
Interesting. You know what? Right now, I got to be honest with you. I'm not really focusing on the big guns. I know that like at the Pizza Expo, you need the big guns to bring the people, but I feel like we have a pretty captive audience. And so my strategy is that Brian is a big gun, right? Peter Reinhardt is a big gun. There's a lot of incredible pizza makers out there, but I'm not shooting for those guys right now. I'd rather, it's like Rick Easton. He's only known to maybe, let's say 25,000 people in the world, right? That follow him on Instagram or have been to his place. That's the kind of guy I want to have on my show, because no offense to the big guns, but for me, he's every bit as talented as those guys, right? Steven Lanzalotta from Slap Portland. I don't know his background, but I know he's been doing that beautiful bread. I forget where he was before. I think he was on the East Coast, maybe New Hampshire or Vermont, or maybe upstate New York. I can't remember. But those guys have been killing it forever. And so my philosophy is I want to work with those guys that really aren't on the A team yet. And then if we need the Brian Spanglers, the Chris Biancos, the Tony G's of the world, we'll get them on at the Pizza Expo, Call me crazy, but I'm all about the B list and getting those guys support, Those guys are under the radar in a lot of ways, and those are the people that I'm looking to work with. So it's not a bad idea. Eventually, we'll have Brian on, but he's not on my first round of choices. And I love Brian. I love me some Brian Spangler.
And I just got to say, Noel, you're talking about people that you are in the same class with. So
I am not in the same class as Brian Spangler.
Come on,
No.
On that Pizza Quest.
Justin, you support me like my mother, and I can't disagree with my mother, and I won't disagree with you. Thank you for your support.
Giovanni is asking a pretty, we're going to, we joke around, but I think Giovanni's asking a really important question that a lot of people I know it was certainly on everybody's mind when we were doing the Pizza Zoom 2020 back in, when was that? It was the top of March. And I think that now we are still feeling the impact of what's going on. Obviously, we are in this COVID thing all together. And not only mentioning that, but there are a lot of social and other things happening at the same time. But Giovanni is asking, looking at the future short and long, what do you think this virus, what do you think the impact is on the brick and mortar restaurants and pizza joints? I would just have to say, this is really difficult. You know, a lot of people, I have people on my Facebook that have been trying to keep it open, to keep their brick and mortars open, and that have struggled a lot. I know that a lot of people that were able to transition more to a takeout kind of program in their restaurant have survived, but I know a lot of people have, lost their incomes, lost their jobs because of this. I don't know, Noel. I mean, you are in touch with a lot of people. What I've been doing is I've been making pizza in my apartment and dropping it down over my balcony to my friends. It's given me a time to retreat a little bit and really work on my dough recipe. So Noel, you want to talk about that? I mean,
Yeah, I mean the impact is felt on every level. I just consulted for a new place. I've been working with the chef who just opened this week in Venice, and he's only able to open at 25% capacity, and even then he can't use his indoor dining, so he's really limited to about 12 tables outside, all deuces on the sidewalk. And he's paying rent for a capacity of 180 seats in a restaurant plus a full bar. So I mean, as well as he can adapt, with takeout and delivery and his 12 little tables outside, that guy, I'm worried for people like that, and I'm worried for the people who are coming in every day and have to work in such close confines. I mean, the idea of social distancing on a line is really hard. You're literally working side by side. And so, yeah, you can wash your hands and wear a mask and take as many precautions as possible, but it's a really dangerous situation. I know Dan will be with us hopefully shortly. I know he's working on it at his place in New Jersey, so we can talk to him about that later. But I find that pizzerias are doing better than a lot of other styles of restaurant, and I'm glad for that. But the restaurant world is a big world, and I don't think they're getting the kind of support they need. And I do think they're getting a lot of support. I do see people supporting a lot of neighborhood restaurants, which is great. But it's a low margin business, and a lot of restaurants were barely hanging on to begin with. So I guess the silver lining is that for people who get it in the business and have maybe a little bit of money in the bank, they were able to pivot early on, and I see a lot of them doing extremely well. But I don't think it's something they can continue to do forever. So hopefully people will continue to be creative, and people will continue to support their local restaurants, and we'll get out of it together.
But really good question, because we're all in this together, and let's bake some pizza, and hopefully we'll get back to sharing it with people that we do give a shit about. Thank you.
Hey Justin, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start firing some of the polls, right? So guys, we haven't fired any polls since Pizza Expo, right?
True. It's been Momo.
It's been Momo. So usually we do smaller classes, anywhere from 15 to maybe 25 people. We've been doing a lot of privates lately, up to 40 people, 50. But with bigger classes like this, instead of like taking polls verbally or having people raise their hands, since we can't actually see you guys, there's a feature on Zoom which allows us to ask you questions. So we just want to basically get an idea, like who's out there, what your level of experience is, if you're a professional, aspiring professional, home baker. So I'm just going to start hitting you guys up with some questions. You'll see these things pop up on your screen. If you want to take the time to answer them, I'll leave the polls open for a minute or so, close them up, and I'll just keep firing them throughout the rest of the class, just so that we have a better idea, like who you are and what you're looking for and how we can better serve you. So these kinds of things help us out a lot, because a lot of the times when we're looking at like future classes and who to bring in and how to structure recipes, we have to know who we're writing these recipes for. So the more we know about you, the better. If you don't want to answer them, don't answer them. And if you do, it's a big help to us. So thank you so much. Justin.
Yeah, so Dave Zucker's saying Frank Priscinazzo? You ever heard of him?
No, who's that?
Priscinzano. Interesting guy. His pizza's great. He's got some guy making a mozzarella that melts and tastes like nothing else that I have ever had. Sounds fun.
Interesting.
I like that. I like doing a class maybe on the fresh moms. So, oh, here we go. What level of experience do you have? Guys, you can answer those. You know, guys, we'll look at them. So Anonymous is saying, speaking maybe of a future of more takeout, what are your thoughts on the to-go pizza and how it changes from establishment to box than home or whatever? Okay, yeah, better boxes, aeration systems. It's hard. Yeah, this is something that Noel and I talk about. It's the take to bake schedule. It's the make to bake, and really it's like, when do you want to eat it? Like when are you eating the pizza? And if you fire a pizza that goes right into a box, you're going to steam that bad boy, and you're going to lose the characteristics of the crust, maybe that you work so hard to put in there. I know that there are some liners out there. There is technology all over the place. That is this bag that keeps it warm, this box, that the little table in the middle of the pizza pie, this liner here. I've been seeing a bunch of the liners. A lot of people swear by them, that allows it to aerate under and maybe maintain some of that crispiness that I like in my pizza. What I've been doing, and if this matters, is we've been basically par baking about 70%. And then we're giving our pizzas to people and say, please take home, cut it with skiz dogs, that's skizzers, and put it in the skillet for 3 to 4 minutes on medium low. And that's gonna bring out the best characteristics that if I was giving you a pizza in a restaurant, would have a nice crust that's supple and has some life in it, and a nice crispy crumb underneath that gives you a good snap and crunch with the supporting flavor that we put through there. Noel, you got any ideas? Any
No, I like the way you answered that one. Thank you, Justin.
Yeah. So, but that's, I mean, I think that there's big industry there. And I think a lot of people, I see some stuff, the perfect crust liners, people are using those. I haven't used those just because I'm not boxing up my pizzas. I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to do it, putting them in bags with a few snips in the top of the bag, because I want it to, if it is warm, but I usually let it sit at least for a half an hour before we bag it up, because I don't want it to steam out. Yeah, it's hard for a pizza chef sometimes to see the pizzas change so much, you know, and it's a difficult thing. I mean, I don't know. No,
Yeah, so I work a lot with companies that are obviously having to change their recipes and their processes. So some of the things that we go over in classes, I'll just kind of summarize for you. If you're looking to improve the shelf life of your dough in general and of your pizza, and especially so that it'll last in a box, here's some of the stuff we've had good luck with. I'll use Flour and Water Pizzeria in San Francisco as an example. On busy days there, we have up to 50% to go, even before COVID. And so what we learned was that you need a nice long fermentation that really helps to extend the shelf life of your pizza. High water content really helps so the pizza doesn't dry out. Also letting the pizza cool, just even very quickly, 30 seconds on a screen, so that nice cool air hits the bottom, right, and the top, and it allows the outside just to crisp up a little bit, 30 seconds, even a minute. People say, oh, your pizza's going to get cold. No. Pizza's not going to get cold. It comes out of the oven at 625 degrees. In a minute, it might be down to 500 or 550. Once you get it in the box, you've also allowed a lot of that steam to release, and that steam is the enemy of pizza. And so you end up getting a much crispier, crunchier pizza by just letting it cool properly, right? Adding a little extra hydration to your dough and improving the fermentation, either with long fermentation or using pre-ferments. So those are the three things I start with, and I can go on from there. We could do a whole class on that. Justin, let me write that down. Whole class on that.
Okay. Yeah, we're writing stuff down. I like to write it down right here in the old Brainius. Here we go. Guys, Tobias is asking, now this is getting to a little bit more specific stuff, but we don't have a bunch of Q&As going on here. So he says he's working in a Neapolitan, cooking around 700 to 800, and they're struggling to get that bottom crispy. Right, so you and I talk about this, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to offend anybody, but one of the characteristics usually with a Neapolitan is it doesn't necessarily get very crispy on the bottom. It has a nice big cornicione. It's got that fluffiness on the outside, the leopard spotting. However, you might, if you try to pick up a piece, maybe some of the toppings are sliding off. That's why it's encouraged traditionally. Pick up a fork, pick up a knife. You're okay to eat it with a fork and knife. However, that's not my favorite type. If I like a Neapolitan style, I want that cornicione. However, I still want it to stand at attention if at all possible. So trying to get some of the characteristics of the Neapolitan while also getting some of those New York styles that you might be able to pick up, snap in half, and eat. So you get the best of both worlds. So what do you think would be some of the things that they might be able to look at? They're mixing 00, you know, what would you do? Would you change the protein content? Would you cook it a little? I mean, a lot of things is, you know, some of the people, what they do is they cook it for the first minute or whatever, the first 60 seconds in the wood fire. And then a lot of people are throwing that on their deck to finish it off, you know, on the deck of it. You know, don't be afraid. What we try to do is if you're trying to do traditional, you have to play within a set of rules. However, we encourage you guys to make the pizza that you're looking for. Find the subjectiveness. And that means breaking a few of the rules to get the type of pizza that you're looking for. Break the rules. Don't be afraid. You know, it's a pizza equation, and there are constants, and that's going to be your recipe. But there are variables, right? If you're cooking at 800 and you're cooking at 700 at 60 seconds to a minute, and you're not getting any crisp on the bottom, no, what are you going to do? You might go down to 650. Cook it for an extra three seconds. Don't dome it. Don't dome it. Let it sit on the deck for another momo. Right? Noel, anything?
Yeah. So Justin, are we answering Tobias's question?
Looking at Tobes.
Yeah. So you know what? You know what's interesting, Tobias? One of my pizza mentors, Roberto at Ceste in New York, I found out something interesting, which was that his downtown location, I think it's on Fulton Street, in Manhattan, a huge percentage of his pizzas were being delivered. I think he has a Midtown location as well. A huge percentage were being delivered. So he actually switched from a Type 0. From a 00 flour to a 0 flour, and I think he got better shelf life, better overall results after, you know, those Neapolitan pizzas that cook for a minute and a half or 2 minutes tops, sat in the box for a half hour. So you might want to look at varying your flour types and either doing a mix. If I was going to look at an American flour type, I'm a big fan of the King Arthur all-purpose or Sir Galahad. I find that even though technically the protein percentage is a little lower than the Neapolitan, I think the protein quality overall is a little bit higher. And I don't mean by better, I just mean it has better fermentation tolerance, better mixing tolerance as well. And so by adding a little bit of that, also it's got malt to the 00, you can get a crust that will maybe give you a little more time in a box and a little more crispy, crunchy finish.
But even on the bake, right? I mean, even on the bake, it'll give you a little bit more structure underneath. Don't be afraid, guys. Like, once again, break the rules, mix a bunch of flours. You know, I've been putting a little semolina, like a little semola in my flour, and it gives it a little extra crunchiness on there. 5%, 8%, whatever you can do. You know, don't be afraid to tinker. You know, just what we stress in the classes. If you do tinker, guys, write it down, take notes, take the time, take the temperature, know what your stretch and fold schedule was, know what your bulk was, know what your retard was, know what your bench rest is, know when you ball. Because if you make the best pizza that you have ever made in your life and it works pristinely in the oven that you've got at your disposal, you will want to make it again. And if you don't take notes, you're going to miss the Zamboni.
Miss the Zamboni. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Giovanni's coming again. He says American flour is stronger than the Italian flour. Now, can you suggest a type of American flour that comes closest to Italian in terms maybe of type, AP, pastry, protein content? We like the King Arthur AP. I mean, that's what we call it. That's our workhorse flour. I love mixing King Arthur and Caputo. I do a mix of all those in my pizzas, no matter what style I'm doing. Now, all the styles and all the mixes are different depending on what style I'm working on. But I love that is, what do you call it? What do you call that, King Arthur? That's the,
Sir Galahad.
yeah, but what, you have a name for it. That's your work, not your work.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the kind of.
that's the performance flour that we like to use.
There you go.
That's
And
like
we can talk with Dan about that later because I think he's a big flour blender, and I know he has some experience with King Arthur and a variety of other flours. So
yeah,
he'll be a good point person to check back with on that one.
Central Milling, all these guys.
Yeah.
There's some really great flours out there. So Danny's asking, hey, if I want bigger holes in the old cornicione using the intermediate class recipe, okay. Would I want to bulk longer at room temp, bulk overnight in the fridge, or ball after 1 hour as marked in the recipe? Thanks, Danny. Thanks for taking the class. Thanks for hanging out with us. If we're looking for bigger, one thing that we talked about last night, and Noel, maybe I don't want to, McKelly was talking, one of the ways is you go to the next level. You start doing different types of pre-ferments in your dough a little bit. That's one thing that McKelly was talking about. If you're really trying to blast out your cornicione, one of the things he was talking about was started using a biga. Biga will produce bigger, wider holes in your cornicione, whereas the pouliche, you might get a little bit more flavor, but you're not going to have as blown out structure in the cornicione. Noel, do you want to talk about any of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to answer that question. I think Michele was right on last night. He's also using Italian flour, which generally speaking, it has weaker glutens in comparison. Meaning that if you take a Caputo red at 12.75% and you take a King Arthur bread flour at 12.8%, on paper they're the same, but you'll find that they perform radically differently, right? In terms of fermentation and mixing tolerance and all that kind of stuff. So, one of the things that I try to do, let's go back to the intermediate class. In the beginning and the intermediate, I give people 3 different strategies. The first strategy in terms of fermentation schedule is you do a 1 hour bulk, and then you ball. Second strategy is you do maybe a 3-4 hour bulk. Part of that could be in the fridge, part of not, and then you ball. If you want the best gluten development, if you want the biggest, puffiest cornicione, what I find is an overnight bulk. Let's call it anywhere from 10, 12 hours to 16 or 18 hours. You can go longer, but it gets dangerous with a low hydration dough.
Is that a room?
And then you ball. What's that, Justin?
Room temp bulk?
No. That's an overnight bulk in the fridge. And then you ball, and then you need at least 24 hours for that dough to relax, I would say. If you want to do a room temperature rise in secondary fermentation, you're going to need 5-6 hours to let it relax, and you're going to get a really puffy cornicione. But I tend to, in my opinion, that's more for bread. That's more of a fermentation schedule for bread. I like to ball really tight and give it 24 hours to relax, and I find that it makes great pizza. Even 48 hours in secondary is great. So it's a game of inches. It depends on so many things. Pre-ferments help. Higher hydration helps. Sometimes a longer second speed mix help. Sometimes the difference between 1 and 2 stretch and folds could be a monumental difference. So many things.
Just real quick. I'm finding sometimes with my dough that I'm using, the difference between a 20-minute stretch and fold schedule versus every 30 minutes for 1 hour adds a lot. I mean, there's just the strength difference that I get from my dough when I go to make it, and the amount of air that I'm able to push into my crust on 3 stretch and folds at 20-minute increments versus the half hour and then 60-minute on my 1 hour bulk, my room temp bulk, really adds a lot. And that's because I'm using the same dough for almost a week. And it's a sliding scale always. It's a sliding scale because I make one batch of 10 or 12 dough balls in my little tiny KitchenAid. Oh, I'm sorry, my average size KitchenAid. It's just me. That's not. But then I'm using that over a long period of time because I don't have people banging on my door every day for pizza pie. So there we go. Jimmy wants to know what your favorite pizza restaurant is in the United States. I mean, I gotta say, I don't know, my home kitchen.
Justin, you're churning out some really nice pies these days, aren't you?
It's, I would like to have a little bit bigger oven because I just have this Breville, and it's not the Pizziolo, guys. I don't have that kind of space. I have a very average size apartment, once again, in Venice, California. So we have the Breville Smart Oven, and it only goes to 480. Now it does have a convection setting, but I was able to get a 13.25-inch round baking steel in that bad boy. So I'm doing like just under, I'm doing basically 13-inch pies. I'd like to be doing 15, 16-inch pies. So one of these days I'll have a nice deck oven that I'll be able to do that stuff in. But
Awesome.
the taste, I think, is there. Thank you.
I like I like a lot of different pizza places. One of the reasons that we are having Dan on today was that though I've only been to his pizzeria twice, Pizzeria Razza in Jersey City, my friend Lance told me about it, and I don't know if Lance had even been there yet, but Dan had a video on, maybe it was YouTube, where he was talking about making his own bread and butter. And I didn't even have to get to the part of the video where he showed pizza, if he even did. I was so taken by his process of fermentation, the way he was talking. I was like, if his bread looks half as good, tastes half as good as it looks, and his butter, I mean, of course he's going to make great pizza. And actually, when I went there the first time, everything was even better than the video promised. The bread was amazing. The butter was amazing. The pizza was amazing. I mean, there's not that many people, I said this to Dan the other day, that can do even one decent margarita pizza, if that's the benchmark. And he did two great ones. Two great margaritas. Daniele from Pizzana here in LA does the same thing. And I think I introduced those two guys. I can't remember. I certainly suggested that Daniele get a hold of Dan from Razza here in LA. So between Dan at Razza and Daniele from Pizzana here in LA, those are probably my two favorite places. I'm not saying they're the best. I'm saying they're my two favorite. And what I like about both of them is that they're not just pizza makers. They're bakers, right? Also, like, Eat Dan's meatballs. They're incredible.
Whoa.
The last time I was there, I took my wife, and she didn't even care about the pizza. She's like, "Can we get the meatballs? Can we get the meat?" And she's from Argentina, right? They're all about meat there. And I think her comment was that his meatballs are the only meatballs I've had in the U.S. that taste like meat. Right. And I think I know what she says, what she means, because people are putting pork in there and they go crazy with the breadcrumbs and people go crazy. I love me a meatball. I even like a bad meatball, probably, right? I'm typical American. But when you have Dan's meatball, when you have Daniele's meatball, it just changes the definition of meatballs for eternity. So, I love me some great pizza, but I think the true mark of a great chef, not just Pizziolo or Pizziola, is how well they treat all those other little things. Making your own butter, right? Or for a lot of Pizziolo's bread is just leftover pizza dough, not a Dan's place, right? So yeah, those are my Dan and Daniele. Final answer. Justin?
There we go. Yeah, I like this play. I mean, I don't eat out pizza that much. I like to make it because usually before this happened, it was just bringing everybody together. But there's this little takeout pizza in Culver City that we love if we ever do get it. It's La Rocco's Pizzeria, New York style. So if you're ever in Culver City, go in there and grab a slice. It's really good. No, it's about 1 minute till 11. We do have a few more questions on here, but I think maybe Dan is
It would be really nice to bring Dan on. I know. I think I saw him wasting away in the wings. So Dan, whenever you are ready, come on. Guys, if you're not ready yet, that's okay.
Just real quick, we'll try to get to these. Just real quick, Dan Capps is asking what the opinion of the old Uni Coda 16 pizza oven is. Now I have the Uni Coda, the 12-inch. And I'm really excited for the Uni 16. I think some of the complaints that they had with the 12-inch is that as soon as you get that pie in there, you really have to make it dance to keep it from burning. We had McKelly on talking last night, and he's a master pizziolo, and he said he struggled with trying. He said he burned his first couple pizzas. So I think what they were able to do was maybe get some more even heat. I used to think it was on all three sides, but evidently the Coda 16 has two sides of fire, so you can have it dance and sit for a moment before you make it dance to the other side. Noel and I have talked about it. Why are you going to make a 12-inch pizza when you can make a 16-inch pizza? Am I right? So we're excited about that. And I think we're going to start doing some classes with those guys. So looking forward to that. So Noel, you've been getting a bunch of, we got Mike, good to see you again, Mike. Mike gave us a bunch of things in the old chat that maybe you can write down too. But Dan, if you want to jump on, if you need me to ring the bell, there he is. There he is. Hello.
What's up?
Dan, what are you doing?
Rolling some dough balls.
Nice. Justin, you want to spotlight that handsome gentleman?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Thank you.
How we doing?
We're doing great. We've been doing a nice little Q&A here. Yesterday, we got a little crazy with Q&A. So today, we're kind of taking it easy. I'm glad you didn't join us till later because we got bombarded yesterday, which is awesome. But people have a lot of questions, and so we've been taking a lot of questions, and it's really great. So thanks for joining us. We've got about 65 people online with us, which is awesome. And so I've got you on from now until, let's see, it's about 2 o'clock in New York or New Jersey. I got you on for a half hour, and then we're going to bring another illustrious guest on who you may or may have heard of, Adam Kuban. Ring a bell?
Love that guy.
I heard he finally came to your pizzeria recently. Is it true?
Yeah.
Did you roll out the red carpet for him
yeah.
you do for everybody else?
That was one of the highlights of my career.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I'm just curious. I know a lot of people know about you, but would you mind just sharing with us a little bit about how you got where you are, what your journey was?
Sure. I started making pizza in 2003 after a trip to Italy. I bought a failing restaurant in 2006, which I sold 10 years later. Started Razza in 2012 or 13, 12. And just been focusing on the details of pizza making and, of course, the meatballs. Every detail we're trying to manage from the lighting to the salt to everything. The hand soap in the bathroom, Yep.
Is that pepperoni flavored or meatball flavored hand soap?
Good question. All right, so Dan, we're excited to have you. We're excited to work with you. I know you're super busy. How's it going with Pandemic Pizza?
It's going. It changes constantly, and we're up for the challenge. Thankfully, everybody's healthy, everybody's safe, and we're doing good. We did a lot of renovation during the pandemic. We put in a second oven to meet the demand because pizza is very takeout oriented. So
yeah,
we're selling more pizza than we ever have.
Really?
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Our sales are way down.
Right.
Just because we're not selling any beverage at all, no alcohol. So our sales are still down. But it feels good because we're making a shit ton of pizza, and every month it seems like we need to buy more dough trays because we're going to scaling up. So once the indoor dining is fully allowed, I don't even know how we're going to do it because I don't know if you can see, but there are dough trays upon dough trays. This is our dining room.
Wow, that's crazy.
We turned the dining room into a prep kitchen.
Awesome. Okay, let's see. So you and I have been talking for a while, but we really haven't sussed out everything we're going to do. So I think if you don't mind multitasking, maybe we can continue to discuss exactly how we want to do our advanced class part 2 together. And I'm hoping we're going to be able to do more than one. Maybe we'll do one a month or one every 2 months. One of the things that's really exciting to me is that you are going to be coming out with a cookbook. I believe it's going to be fall of 21, right?
Right.
And you're working on that with the illustrious Katie Parla. Is it true?
It's true.
Am I allowed to ask you questions about that whole process? Because I'm very curious. I don't know if
you need to write a book, my man.
No. Books are old school. You need to write a book. I need to do a blog. I need to do a podcast. I need to do what I'm doing. All right.
Podcast.
Absolutely. So let me ask you some questions about your book, and then we'll come back to the class. All right. So what's going to be in your book? Is the meatball recipe going to be in there first and foremost?
The meatballs are going to be in the rest.
Now,
Yeah. We had
for,
to
pe-
put it in.
for people who don't understand like the ecology of your restaurant, and I don't know if I can't explain it as well as you, but I remember the first and second time I went there, you gave my table like a history of like all the ingredients that come together that are kind of part of the process that end up in the meatballs. Can you give people like a bird's eye view into how that works so they understand that it's not just a meatball?
Yeah, so it's all naturally raised meat. Our pork is coming from a small farm in New Jersey. It's naturally raised beef. So one of the big things that we do at the restaurant is we make bread and butter. That's one of our like signature dishes. As weird as that sounds, but that all came out of the desire to really understand pizza dough. If you don't understand bread making, you're never going to understand pizza dough. So in the 14, 15 years that I've been studying dough making, I learned how to make really good bread. So I knew I wanted to put that on the menu, and what better condiment is there for bread than butter? So because I started studying grain fermentation, you always get intrigued by other forms of fermentation, whether it's making beer, making wine, or fermenting dairy, and turning milk into yogurt or cream into creme fraiche. And then, well, why can't we make a fermented, or as it's known as cultured, butter?
Yeah.
So we got this heirloom Scandinavian yogurt culture that is very similar to the sourdough bread process. It's reculturable. So we take a little bit of the old, save it for the next batch, and that's what inoculates it, the same way we would treat our sourdough bread. In the process of making butter, one of the byproducts is buttermilk. So we were making tons of butter, so we had tons of buttermilk. What are we going to do with it? Well, let's take our day-old bread, soak it in the buttermilk that we got from the bread and butter process, and incorporate that into the meatballs to lighten them up. So,
and did it work?
You tell me, man.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Now, what do you think about people, and I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway, who use Progresso breadcrumbs for their meatballs?
No, it'll do in a pinch, but we focus on the quality of each ingredient, down to the salt that goes into it, and what are the inherent merits or negative flavor attributes of each ingredient, and how will it relate to the product that we're creating.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is, but we really try to focus on every single ingredient.
Yeah. And don't you think it's amazing? I don't know. It took me a long time to figure this out, but all of the products in the kitchen that I used to throw out because I thought they were waste products turn out to be what my grandmother and my mother and your grandmother and your aunts, and I'm not just choosing women, but a lot of times in Italian and Jewish households, it's the women that are doing the cooking. And by saving, schmaltz, by saving the remnants from the butter making process. My wife makes fun of me because all I have is remnants in my second fridge besides dough. But that builds flavor, right? Yeah. There's so much flavor in those waste products. Don't throw them away. Use them in another product. That's amazing what you're doing there.
No, we just rendered some chicken fat, and we're doing roasted carrots and schmaltz.
Yes, please. I love that. All right, back to pizza.
Yeah.
So we've been doing these advanced classes, and I've been teaching people about hydration and pre-ferments and stuff, but we really haven't had the opportunity to do a bake. And so what I want to do with you is I want to do a part 2 advanced class, at least one, maybe more, right? And what I'd like to do is, here's going to be the format, and then we're going to discuss what we can do within the 3 or 4 hour class. The first hour is going to be a mix, just like it always is, right? And we'll mix a dough. I think we're going to probably end up using a pre-fermenter too. You're a liquid levain guy, right?
I am.
So we'll probably end up doing something like that.
I also love pat fermenté.
Yes, you're speaking my language. Yes.
One of my favorites. It's so easy and user friendly.
All right, so we're gonna double up. You're speaking my language, because I always talk about pat fermenté, and I never meet up with any Italians who either know what it is or are interested in talking or using it. But so we're gonna do two pre-ferments.
French term. So the
I know. I'm not sure where the accents or the umlauts go, or if there is an umlaut in pat fermenté, but I love to say it and I love to use it. It works so well. All right, good. So we're going to do both of those. I'm making notes as we go. Guys, just so you know, we are actually planning our class right in front of you, because Dan and I are busy guys, so we barely get a chance to talk. It took me 2 months to get this guy on the phone, and I'm not mad at you. I know you're busy. You're on vacation. You actually take Sundays off to be with your kids. I love what you do, and I'm not trying to make fun of you, even though if I can get one little jab in, I'll take it. But thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing up pat fermenté. So we're going to do an hour mix, right? What do you guys use in your mixer? Do you in your bakery? Do you have a tiny little spiral?
Yeah. So we have.
Can we see it? Can we see it?
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to mix in this spiral during our class?
That's our oven,
yes.
And our mixer tucks underneath our oven.
Oh my God, that is tiny. I thought you meant tiny, like 80 quart.
Yeah, no, it's.
Looks like a 30
kilo.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's so
we
small.
mix about 100 balls at a time. So today we're doing. We did 5 mixes today.
Oh my God, that's like Bestia when we first opened. We had a 30 kilo mixer. It was a joke. We were doing with pasta. We were doing 10 or 12 mixes a day, and I was doing all my own bread by hand.
A lot of time. But I also have a FAMOG 10 kilo mixer or 8 kilo mixer at the house, so we can do it there too.
So what is that FAMOG?
FAMOG, yeah.
Is it a spiral?
It's a spiral, yeah. It's variable speed.
Oh, it has a variable speed.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've been mixing on this mixer for 8 years, and it's a single speed, so there's no option for second speed. So it's always a super gentle mix, which I like.
Yes.
And we just do a longer bulk fermentation with folds to compensate.
Beautiful.
So when we do the class, I can either bring that here, or we can use that one, but
I'm hoping we're going to be able to do multiple classes, and so hopefully we'll do a mix one time at your house, a mix another time at your place. We'll figure that out for sure. So here's how I think I want to structure the class. We're going to do an hour or so of mixing and mixing talk, right? Recipes and processes and things. Then I'd like to do about an hour of pizza making. So we would love to see you and your staff shape dough, top dough, bake dough, and we'll all do that together, right? So in a perfect world, I'll have everybody make the dough in advance of the class, right? And so they'll have dough on deck ready to bake along with you. And then we'll mix some dough together so you and I can give people tips and techniques on the way we do it compared to the way that they would do it, which will be awesome. And then we'll all take the dough that we've prepared however many days in advance you suggest, and we'll make pizza together. That'll be the second part of the class. And then in the third part of the class, I want you to go crazy. All right. And one of the things that I haven't focused on so far is toppings, but one of the things that I loved about seeing you in your restaurant and tasting all the food was how important the sourcing of the ingredients were. And I know that you go crazy when it comes to sampling tomatoes, right, and working with different recipes, and you do a lot of really careful sourcing. So I really want to talk with you about the decisions that you make and the systems that you use, so you can help the people that are here and the people who are not here yet kind of dial in their toppings, because we don't really focus on toppings yet. We've really been talking about dough and fermentation. So I want to get to that, because I think what you do, besides with your bread and your butter, right? And your pizza dough. The way that you source is really incredible, and you can taste it in every bite.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit, for those of us who haven't been to your pizzeria, like what is your process on sourcing just in general? What's your philosophy?
So, so our menu is determined by, we split the menu into, we have standards that are always on the menu, like the margarita variations, the pepperoni, based on products that we can get year round.
Yeah.
And then the other half of the menu are seasonal. So right now we're in the tail end of corn season here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So we don't set a specific date where we add the corn pie to the menu. We just look at when corn is in its peak of season. So we'll see the availability start to pop up, and then corn will flood the market. That's when we start to buy the corn, and we'll continue until the availability slows down, which means the quality is not quite there. And then you won't see the corn pizza, even though it's our biggest selling seasonal pizza. You won't see that unless it's peak of corn season here in New Jersey. And once that availability dwindles, then there'll be something else popping up, probably Brussels sprouts and dark leafy greens and all the cruciferous vegetables like the kales and broccoli and cauliflower. And we try to focus on specific varieties of those vegetables, because it's kind of like dogs, right? There's so many different varieties. There's crossbred, there's mutts, vegetable mutts, and then there's purebreds, right? And there's heirloom varieties of these vegetables that I think is so important in preserving that type of crop. Plus they're so colorful and unique. And if you've ever seen like Romanesco cauliflower, that's one of my favorite vegetables because it looks so weird. And the texture is amazing. And like, why use regular plain old white cauliflower when you can use something new, unique, different, and it just adds a little bit of variety to our guests' lives.
Awesome. So like right now, is there anything that you're excited about on your menu? How many pies do you have, and what do you think is the most exciting pie you're doing right now to you?
So the corn pie for me is really amazing. I love it. When the guys are cutting the corn off the cob, I'm always reaching in to taste. What do we got here? We got some mushrooms. The corn's awesome. Yeah. I mean, those are our two real big seasonals right now. Oh, plus we always have multiple different tomato sauces in the restaurant.
Yeah.
At the time, we keep them at different moisture contents based on what other ingredients are going on that pizza.
Can we please get into that? Because that's so important. And I think a lot of people don't understand how important it is to, get your product, whether it's a fresh tomato or a canned tomato, taste it. How much moisture is in it? How acidic is it? How sweet is it, right? How many times has it been cooked? Think about that. If you buy a can of tomatoes, it's been cooked once, right? Some people will then cook it again before it goes on a pie, and then they'll cook it on the pie. That's 3 times, right?
Which is a beautiful thing, but it's a different product than if you take a field-grown tomato from your state or your county and then run it through a food mill and it's cooked once on the pizza. Yeah. That's something special. And so that's our secondary tomato right now. It's on 2 or 3 of the pies. And it's just such a different experience. It's a whole different ballgame. And that's why we do the multiple variations on the margarita, because you have all these opportunities with different products that require and different uses. And we try to celebrate that, because doing the same thing day after day is great. But if you can showcase a contrasting product, like I love doing the 2 margaritas side by side, because there's never any clear winner or loser. They're both delicious and they're both completely different. So why not celebrate that? Celebrate the inconsistencies and the differences.
Yes. I love that. Your philosophy is awesome. So let me ask you another question. I know we have some questions building up in the queue, and I want to get to some of those as well. But one of the things that fascinates me in like the pizza world right now is that there are so many people like you who didn't start out in pizza. My understanding is that you went to college, and did you study farming?
The only college I got into was an agricultural school. So I went. I didn't want to have anything to do with agriculture, but I got a really good background in it. I transferred out after 3 years just to get through and done with college.
Yeah.
I skipped the graduation ceremony and flew to Italy, traveled up and down, tasted food that I've never tasted before, and knew at that moment I wanted to do this.
Yes, I love that. I'll never be Dan Richer, but I got to say, I skipped my graduation from French Culinary Institute and flew to Italy.
Yeah, baby.
I'm like, would I rather learn how to make croissants or eat pizza in Rome? I don't think I have to think about that, right?
Yep.
People are like, how could you leave? I'm like, I don't care about croissants. My wife still holds it against me to this day. The only reason I went to French Culinary and made baguettes for 2 months was to learn how to make better pizza. That's it. Learn about pre-ferments, learn about gluten development, mix in a spiral mixer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, school is great, but I couldn't wait to get the hell out and make pizza.
Me too.
Awesome. All right, we've got some questions that I want to get to you. I know you have limited time with us,
Bring it. I love questions.
So the first question is, when will we be able to sign up for classes? So that's going to be happening soon. Dan, I believe we're scheduled for October 24th. Is that correct?
Yep.
Good. So that's going to be our class. And so Dan and I just have to get a recipe together, which we'll discuss hopefully sooner rather than later. And once we do that, we'll post it online, because the idea is when you sign up for a class, you'll immediately get the recipe and any other instructions. So you can start working on that, et cetera, et cetera. They want to know how many pies are you doing a day, Dan?
On our anywhere between 400 and 500. We did 500 yesterday, but we sold out at 6:45. So next week, if we get more dough trays, we're going to go for 600.
Got it.
It's amazing. And it's amazing that our sales are not through the roof.
It is amazing. It is amazing. I have a question here that's not necessarily directed at you, but I would like to hear your answer. And somebody is asking, this is David, for New York style, do you think anything is better than All Trumps and Grande? What do you think?
I think that you can make great New York style pizza with pretty much any flour, and Grande is great. I think in the low moisture mozzarella realm, there aren't that many that are better. Personally, if I was going to make New York style pizza, I would blend multiple cheeses.
Yeah.
So you get different effects.
Yeah.
And to make it a little bit different, because I'm not trying to be like the gold standard for New York style pizza. I would want to put my own spin on it a little bit while remaining true to the style.
Yeah.
All Trumps, I personally wouldn't use. But go for it.
Well, hold on. I'm going to ask a follow-up question like any good pizza journalist. Why would you say I wouldn't personally use that flour?
I haven't been to their facility. I don't know how they're handling the grain. I don't know what their process is. I've been using King Arthur as one of my flours for a very long time, maybe like 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
And I know the flour. I understand it. I've been to the mill that mills ours. I've used it across the country with really great success. So for me, if you're using a white flour, it's better to stick with something that you know and understand. And if you choose All Trumps, stick with it. Just really dial in day after day after day through season changes, through crop changes. Remember, this is an agricultural product and there may be variations. Granted, All Trumps, you're not going to get that much variation. But I don't know their process. I don't know how it's milled and what they're adding to it. I haven't done the research on that.
Got it. No, that's a great answer. Thank you. So, we talk about that in a lot of classes, this idea of blending flours, right? And for me, the way I think about it, probably different from you, but I like to have a base flour or a performance flour. And for me, that's also King Arthur. I've been using all of their flours since baking school, but even before that, they were available in grocery stores. So for me, I like the Sir Galahad because it's a strong AP, but it's not too strong. And so, but I get the fermentation tolerance. I get the nice performance that's very, very consistent. But then I like to dial in some type 85 or some rye or some locally milled flour, right? There's so many beautiful spelts, right? So many beautiful heirloom wheats. How do you look at flour blending?
Yeah, that's exactly our move. What's your percentage that you recommend blending on?
Well, it depends how many flours you blend. And so, for instance, like if I'm using a pre-ferment, I'll use my strongest flour for that, protein-wise, because it needs some good fermentation tolerance to handle it. So I wouldn't use like a spelt flour because I feel that it's a little bit weak. So the King Arthur would work pretty well. Sometimes if I'm using like a type 85, I love that because you get more activity. I'm a big believer in rye flour. I like 2-3% rye. I love the flavor. I love the color. In my advanced class, I teach a bread recipe where it's 8% rye and 2% whole wheat, and I love that flavor and color, but I feel like that's a little bit too high for pizza. Most people, if it's got too much rye or wheat, they kind of balk. Also, they don't like to see big flecks of bran and germ. I do.
I've embraced it.
Right?
And
Me too.
now after embracing it, I am bored with 100%.
I know. It has good performance. It has good volume, but it's lacking something in terms of flavor, especially if you're using pre-ferments like Levain, right?
Yeah.
Let's see what else. You know what I did last year? Not this last year, but the year before at the Pizza Expo. I kind of challenged myself, and I usually don't go higher than 20% whole wheat for pizza, but I went 50%, and I did like 100% hydration pizza bianca, and it had 50% wheat flour. We used about 6 different flours in it because I was trying to show people the difference between performance flours and flours I use for color and aroma. But I think we had a type 85 and a type 65 and a little bit of rye, and it was really a beautiful blend.
Sounds great.
But here was the thing the reason I really remember it is that nobody thought of it as whole wheat flour, and 50% is pretty dark, but the texture was so beautiful, right? The crumb and the crust, it performed really nicely. The very simple toppings. I used cauliflower and some braised greens, a little bit of schmaltz. Don't tell anybody. That was my secret ingredient on that one. And when I told people it was 50% whole wheat, they looked at it and they're like, "This? But it's so good," right?
It can be great.
It can be great. I've yet to make 100% whole wheat. That was great, but it ate well as bread. I know. So great. I'm glad that we're on the same page.
Yeah, I'd rather use 100% T85
yes,
than use 100% whole wheat. I mean,
yeah.
just those sharp particles of bran, it's not very user-friendly and not as delicious as it could be.
Yeah. I did a recipe a couple of years ago where I auto-leased the 100% whole wheat flour overnight in a fridge so that I feel like a lot of those sharp particles softened up quite a bit. And I don't know if they broke down, but it was easier to mix. And I went 140% hydration on this thing. It's kind of crazy. But it was so soft, and the reason I was going crazy like that was that my biggest problem with whole wheat, my whole life, my mom was like some crazy hippie, always making us eat like this bread. Everybody else had Wonder Bread for lunch, and we had whole wheat bread with like bran and raisins falling off my ham sandwich. I'm like, "Mom, raisins and ham, really?" She's like, "Oh, it's good for you." Also, it was too dense. All right, and that's what I don't like about whole wheat. It can get pretty dense. So if I up the hydration, I feel like it becomes lighter. How about you? Definitely good.
Well, guys, I'm going to jump in. It is 11:30.
Oh no, we could go all day.
I don't want to interrupt. I want to attempt to stay on a schedule. We were talking last night, Dan. It was really interesting because we brought up the idea of mixing. There he is, Adam Kuban. No, Adam, come back. Please come back. Please come back. Adam. We were just talking with McKelly about mixing flours last night, and he was basically like, no, we don't do that at all. So I love the idea. Like, everybody has a different idea of what pizza is, and it just comes back to the subjective nature on it. Like, if you like it and if you like tinkering, I mean, like Noel says, like in class we say 2, 3. I mean, right now I'm doing 6 different flours, 3 for my pre-ferment and the rest in my actual dough recipe and all that stuff. And, it's semolina, spelt, rye, type 1, King Arthur AP, the Nuvola Super. I love it because it works for me. It works for my schedule and for what my oven is able to produce. So it's always that sliding scale, and I love to hear that stuff, man. Hats off to you. Adam, if you're there, my brother, I'll ring the bell. Please come back. Please come back. Adam Kuban.
He's I think he's shaving his beard down.
No, I hope not. The Robinson.
I hope not too.
Are you kidding me? Wilson, come back.
All right. Well, while we're waiting, Dan, I don't know. You look pretty busy over there, so we appreciate that you are able to hang out with us. If you want to continue to hang while we talk with Adam, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I'll check the comments if there's any questions. I'll.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, Margot. How are you?
Hey.
Hi, Adam. How are you?
Not bad. How you doing?
We're doing great. You're disappearing in the background. We love your pepperoni pizza virtual
It's
background.
Mama's too.
Mama's too. I love that place. I was there the last time I was in New York.
Yeah, fantastic pizza.
Really good. That's what I call a hard bake.
Yeah, it really is.
So good. Dan, have you been?
Yeah. Love it.
Good, right?
And I love that guy too. He's amazing.
He was there, but I didn't meet him. I was in and out. I saw a guy. I'm like, is that the guy? And it was the guy, but I was just in and out. Trying to hit up 8 pizzerias in one day is no way to meet people, right?
A lot.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Adam, what's going on?
No, not a whole lot. We're just hanging out.
You are hanging out. And what brings you to our free Zoom webinar?
Well, I guess we're going to be talking about the intermediate part 2 class that
Yes.
Margot and I are going to be teaching.
We are.
I can't.
Well, I don't know if Margot is, but
Margot's going to be teaching the math.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were saying. Margot helped us with all the math in our intermediate class. We were so grateful to you for figuring out the formula and helping people understand it. So it's wonderful to see you again, Margot. It's great to see you guys.
are you going to help with the math on this one?
I guess.
Yeah, she'll be in and out of the background.
Thank you, Margot. Thank you.
She's
Margot.
bonus. She's free.
No, she should get paid. Come on.
She gets
Okay.
pizza, hopefully, right? Paid in pizza.
Margot, do you have an agent yet?
No. Tell them you're earning money for your phone.
All right.
Oh, jeez.
All right. So,
So-
Adam, let's talk turkey, shall we?
Yeah.
I'm serious, Margot. We're going to talk turkey. Adam, what are we going to do? I'm so excited to be working with you.
So, for those of you who don't know much about me, I founded a weblog called Slice back in 2003. It was before if you're familiar with the app Slice, it was before that even happened. So don't confuse it with that. It was called Slice. The URL was sliceny.com. Founded it in 2003 here in New York City. I live in Queens now. I was living in Brooklyn at the time. I had recently moved to New York City in 2000. I've always been a huge pizza nerd or pizza freak. I did not become a pizza nerd until I moved here and really started delving into the different pizzerias, different styles, etc. But, this is the early days of the web, and it seemed like there were fan pages for everything, but there wasn't a real fan page for pizza. And so what I would do was just scour the internet and find interesting articles about pizza in the different newspapers and magazines. I would cut out newspaper and magazine articles and file them in an actual physical file. And eventually, like 2003 rolls along, I see blogs are a thing, and I kind of hit I'm going to make a blog called Slice. So I started a blog called Slice. Started going around to all these pizzerias, taking photos. It was really gonzo style, like really shoddy gonzo style pizza journalism at the time. It evolved. It became more professional after a while and had better photos and such. But in the beginning, it was just goofy. But, I amassed all this pizza knowledge during this time. And now it's what I'm going to be bringing to this class. To kind of take us through, going to take us through a tour of pizzerias around New York, even around the country, who have really distinctive topped pies. It's not going to be so much about how to clone these pizzas, though. It's going to be more about the topping combos that you can take and apply to any style of pizza. I love trying to clone pizzas, but that's not my true passion. I like just making like riffs on pizzas. I don't know if you've ever seen, if anybody's familiar with Tribute Pizza in San Diego. He does this. His whole notion is he does tribute pizzas. He will take like a DeFara pizza and make his tribute to a DeFara on his crust. So this is almost kind of like that. And it kind of stems out of something I've been doing. I had been teaching a few classes in-house in people's homes before COVID hit. And it slowly evolved into this thing where not only would I take them on a tour of pizzerias through toppings and kind of give them a little take about, you know, why Pizzeria Bianco is so important in the pizza industry and the pizza community. So we would make the Bianco Rosa pie. I would also do, like, say, Franny's. A lot of people don't, well, most pizza nerds know that seafood can go on pizza. Some people don't. So, you know, we'd get a fair amount of people who didn't. So we'd do a Franny's pie, the white clam pie that they do. And that came about because one of my clients, their favorite pizza was the white clam pie. And they requested that. So then that went on our menu for these events. And then slowly I also, not only did I do topping, like a toppings tour, also the way you apply cheese and sauce really affects things. I'm sure a lot of people are familiar, or maybe not. You can apply the sauce in different ways, either on the bottom with shredded cheese on top, which I think most people are familiar with, or you can put sliced cheese on the bottom, put sauce on top, and it really affects the end result. So with these events I would kind of show the different types of pizzas with all these toppings topped in different ways with different saucing and cheesing, and it ended up becoming a tour of what's possible in your home oven with just changing slight things here and there. You know, you have the same, basically similar sauce, and just the cheese cut or sliced in different ways can make a huge difference. And I can make the difference between, say, a Grimaldi style coal oven pizza and a DeFara type pizza.
Yeah.
Which is also not coal oven, but it's Brooklyn, New York-ish style. They're variations on New York style pizza. So that's what this class is going to be about. I'll walk you through some topping combos. TBD, we're also kind of planning the class here. I'm still kind of nailing down which topping combos and which pizzerias we might visit. But, you know, some of them will be, say, definitely we'll do the Bianco Rosa, maybe some pesto pizza from a place here in Queens where I live called Danny's. And let's see. Oh, I was going to share my screen, but it looks like it's been disabled. What?
No. Hold on for 1 second. Let me change that. I'm gonna make you a co-host, Adam Kuban.
All right.
You're now a co-host. Why don't you try to share your screen now?
All right. So yeah, thinking about doing the Rosa, which has onions. Oh, it's a white pie.
Yes.
And rosemary.
Yes.
I'll talk a little bit about that and what makes Pizzeria Bianco so famous and so seminal in the pizza scene. We'll go to Pauly G's here in Brooklyn, do the Green Pointer, which is named after the neighborhood Pauly G's was founded in. And Green Pointer is arugula. It's a white pie with mozzarella. It's arugula. And Margot says it's a green pie, but it's a white pie because it doesn't have sauce.
It's a white pie with green. Margot's
yes.
right.
Shaved
Thank you,
parm
Margot.
at the end.
Beautiful.
And we'll talk about Pauly G and his significance in the pizza scene.
Love it.
Here's Danny's House of Pizza. They are known for two things: their pesto slice and for their sweet sauce.
Oh, that looks like blasphemy right there, but I'll bet you it tastes great.
And people in the know to get the pesto slice with the sweet sauce. So we could go over Danny's, and then we'll go over like DeFara.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the, it's plain pie. The DeFara, there's been different ages of DeFara, like a heyday. Who knows? There's been like many ways that DeFara has evolved over the years. So we can talk about that. We're going to talk about its plain pies and some pizzas that it's inspired here around New York City. So that's basically.
Now, Adam, I don't know about anybody else, but when we were talking about that on the phone and brainstorming, I think that's the best way I could possibly spend several hours on a Saturday or Sunday. How fun is that? What is that noise?
Did you hear a noise?
I think I did, but I don't know what it was.
Get out of here. Yeah, I think Margot farted. So.
Margot, I forgot she's going into 3rd grade. That's age appropriate, right?
Yeah.
I'm with you, Margot. I'm over here,
Justin, you're 41. That's not age appropriate when you do it.
Talking about. Come on. We're talking pizza. We're having some gas. Come on.
Yeah.
We're having some gas. Excellent. All right.
So yeah, it's basically a tour of different pizzerias and segueing into how you can prepare like sauces and cheeses. I've got a couple different sauce recipes that I'll share with you. I'll share the recipes for all these toppings, topping combos, and any topping combos that need to be cooked. And then we'll go over several other pizzerias that are significant.
Awesome. So right now I've got you on the schedule for October 17, but the class is not live yet because we still need to get all of our support materials together. So let me just go over with you the way I was thinking of breaking down the class, and we'll see if this makes sense. And then we'll see if we can take some questions from the unwashed masses. Justin, get ready to fire up some questions to us. So
I'm standing by, guys. Standing by.
Good. So Adam, you've been with us on all 3 classes, right? Beginning, intermediate, and advanced. So it's generally the same format. We'll send people a recipe in advance that they can make in advance of the class, but the first hour will still be a mix. We'll all mix your dough together, and by your dough, we'll decide if it's going to be a classic New York dough or some kind of take on that, right?
Yeah.
And then the second hour of class, we're going to make pizza, and hopefully you'll demo 3 or 4 different styles of pizza as you just described, and we'll all try to make those pizzas together. We got to get a prep list together so people know, all right, do they need sliced cheese? Do they need shredded? Do they need cubed, et cetera, et cetera?
We're going to need all of them.
We're going to need all. That's what I want to know. That's why it's the intermediate class and not because we were talking before, should it be a beginner class part 2 or an intermediate? That's why I'm calling it an intermediate, right?
Yeah.
Even though in a lot of ways there are some advanced elements to it. I don't want to get stuck on the naming thing, but my intermediate class is usually like most people's advanced. So I'm not bragging, just saying we get pretty deep, right? And then the third part of the class, hopefully, we're going to do maybe some kind of slideshow, or what would you call it? Tell me how.
Yeah, a slideshow, tour de force of various pizzerias around. Like, we might not delve as deep into the toppings, but we'll just go through and show like these are the variations, these are various pizzas. Basically, an inspiration session.
Absolutely, that sounds awesome. So, and that'll be basically that'll end up being about a 3.5-hour class with Q&A. So I'm looking forward to that. What about what do you have in your home kitchen? What will people need to bring or use?
Let's see. I have a couple ways I make pizza. I have a Breville pizzaiolo, but I mostly make pizza on a baking steel. Good. So my oven, I have a middle of the road oven. I don't have anything, no Viking or whatever the fancy ovens are. I don't have that. I don't have the bottom of the line either. It's like I don't know what they are. I've got like a Samsung oven. It goes to 550 and it has convection. And it's a great oven. I've been very happy with it. Of all the ovens I've ever lived with, it's done pizza the best, but I use that. I put my baking steel up in the top third of the oven on a rack. I have the 16-inch round baking steel. And I'm not going through the whole lesson. He asked what I have, what the setup is. So I would say, if you come to this, expect to either bring a baking stone or a baking steel.
Good.
So, yeah, I have the round baking steel, and that's a baking steel, the brand. I know a lot of people now call it, like, it's become synonymous with a sheet of steel you can put in your oven. There are different brands. I use baking steel primarily because I formed a friendship with the guy, Andrus Lagsden, who makes baking steel up in Stoughton, Massachusetts. He was a very early commenter on Slice, or back in the early days of making baking steel, he was a commenter on Slice and kind of became part of the community. And has a very good community there, helping people cook with baking steel, not only pizzas, but breads, steaks, vegetables, all sorts of things.
Awesome.
So I like to support him, but there are other steel slabs out there that you can buy, either through Amazon or whatnot. Can't remember the names offhand, like something Geek something, I don't know. And there's maybe, and there are like places you can buy off eBay. I think there's a guy, I think Justin shared with me a link to a guy on eBay who will cut steel for you to any size.
Yeah.
But that's what I use. I have the round baking steel. I've got a baking steel griddle, which is a reversible steel. One side is flat, one side has a channel running around the edge, so you can put it on your stovetop and make like hamburgers or whatever, and the channel catches the grease before it spills over. Both of those are, we can get into this if you want, but the thickness matters on steel. They're both 3/8 inch thick. I think the original baking steel was a 1/4 inch thick, and then they have one that's a 1/2 inch thick.
Yeah.
So the thicker they are, the more energy they hold, and they transfer that energy to the pie a lot faster. Like the thicker they get, the more energy they have to transfer into the dough to bake it. I've kind of netted out at the 3/8 inch version is perfect for my oven, but your mileage may vary. I have a friend in Portland who makes a lot of pizza, and he's got the 3/8 inch thick one, and it makes his pizza too dark.
Wow. Okay. Makes sense.
And when I've used the 1/2 inch thick, I've had the same problem. It makes the pizza too dark. So,
wow.
But that's what I use. I have a variety of different crazy pans for making pan pizzas. And this is something Noel and I have talked about in the future. I know a lot of you probably want to do bar pies. I'm known for bar pies. After I did Slice, the pizza blog, I left Serious Eats. Just going back, when I was doing Slice, it kind of grew a following. Eventually, Ed Levine from the website SeriousEats.com bought Slice from me, hired me on at Serious Eats as the founding editor there. And where I continued to run like Slice as part of Serious Eats and write about pizza and such. But I was going to say, once I left Serious Eats, I jumped on Instagram and I started doing, I mean, where probably most of you came from for this thing. You're familiar with my Instagram account. That's primarily where I blab about pizza these days. So where was I going? But you, some of you probably know me also from Margot's Pizza, which is a pop-up named after this. Yeah, named after this one. And there I do something called bar-style pizza. It's a very thin, crispy pizza, uniformly round, uniformly crisp. So we were talking about doing a intermediate session later on where we make bar pies, but that will be after we do this pizza tour.
Absolutely. Just like with Dan, I would love to do a class with you once a month, once every 2 months, and keep coming up with fun, new, innovative ideas. You know, it's funny, people, one of the biggest questions I've gotten on the DMs since we started posting about this class was, is Adam's class professional or is Adam's class for hobbyists? And I don't know what you think. I actually think it's for both.
It could be for both. I don't want to scare away or not scare away anybody, but yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle. But I think, you know, why would I scare? I wouldn't scare anybody. But yeah, I think it's somewhere in the middle, maybe closer toward like home bakers, because that's where most of my pizza making experience these days lies.
Yeah.
But
well,
you know,
Adam,
just to go in the background, for a while, I worked at Pauly G's in Greenpoint at the wood-fired oven place.
Yeah.
This was before he started his slice shop. And then shortly after, as I was working there, I was developing my bar pie recipe. And then I jumped over to do my bar pie pop-up at Emily in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn. You might be familiar with Emily or Emmy Squared. Emmy Squared brought the Detroit-style pizza to New York City. Or I guess it would say Detroit-inspired.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily exactly Detroit style, but it was inspired. So that's where I did the bar pie pop-up. So my knowledge is primarily in kind of a Neapolitan-inspired pizza. Pauly G's is not strictly Neapolitan. It's Neapolitan-inspired. It's more crisp. I think earlier on in the session we were talking about, Justin mentioned the difference between Neapolitan. Like true Neapolitan is like softer, and the middle is kind of soupy. It's not crisp. So like a place like Pauly G is a little more crisp. And also Pauly G, you know, like I think when you go with some really strict Neapolitan, there's like a whole philosophy about how they should be topped. They should be like very minimal and simple. At Pauly G, he has some very maximal toppings. Yeah, like the Green Pointer, like we talked about.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I learned that's the extent of my professional pizza making is at Pauly G's and then doing the Margot's Pizza pop-ups. So I'm mostly familiar with a Neapolitan inspired pizza plus like bar pie in like a professional setting. In a home setting, I made all sorts of styles, bar pies, New York style, Sicilian, Detroit, Chicago thin crust, this kind of crazy Milwaukee thin crust inspired by Maria's Pizza.
Love that.
So yeah.
So you know what's interesting, Adam, is that I've been talking with a lot of people about who the people are that are watching these things, and we're gonna get to the Q&A in about a minute. We might run a little over, but hopefully you can stay past 3 o'clock, Adam. There's three different groups that we seem to be catering to online here. One group is the avid home baker. That's about 25% of people that are joining us. Another 25% are professionals that are either chefs looking to move into pizza or chefs that are making pizza and they want to up their pizza game, learn about fermentation, things like that. But there are about almost 50% of people in the mid-ground who are thinking very seriously about opening their own pizzerias or doing pop-ups. And that's where I think you can fill a niche, because you're obviously a great home pizza maker, and a lot of people want you to open up your own place, but where you've actually already been successful is doing pop-ups, right? And so I feel like there are a lot of people that could benefit from your knowledge and experience, because you've already done the pop-up thing. By most accounts, you've been pretty successful. If you're anything like me and the people that I know, you look at a lot of the faults and you think, oh, you're not worthy, or if only I had this or could do that. But I would love to try to accentuate the positive looking forward so that you can teach people what it is that you've done that worked and didn't work, if they want to go ahead and break into the pop-up scene, because there's a lot of that going on right now. So hopefully we'll get a chance to play with that. Hey, Justin.
Yo.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Adam and I have been chatting.
No, not at all. I mean, I just got to say, I'm excited. You know, Adam, I've been, following your blog before there, it was Serious Eats and stuff, because just being a, kind of a pizza geek, I love, what's great about it. We talk about just all the different types, all the different styles, everything that's out there. Everybody's got a different take on it. It is so subjective. So let's dial in. Let's figure out where you're resonating on that pizza frequency. Let's figure out what people, they can use. I love the idea that you're able to kind of use the tools that you've got in your home oven to do all these different styles. So like make it accessible to the people out there. So guys, just come on, let's bake some pizza. Let's keep on burning some pies. You burn, you learn, right? Chris Bianco says that. So this is really exciting, guys. So, hey, Ad, they're asking you, somebody says, do you have a book out yet? Do you have a book out yet? If not, you should definitely have a pizza book out.
Answering it. Just answer it.
No, I don't have a book out, and people have asked if I was going to do one, and I've always said, at some point, I considered Slice, the blog, my book.
Yeah.
I don't know. Doing a book is a lot of work, and I don't know if I have the energy for it.
I know what you're stepping in for sure, but we have one of the things that I know that you do keep up on is your blog. You've got a couple different Instagram accounts that we always try to pitch out to people, and I got to tell you, a lot of people when they're asking in our classes, where can we find some of the tools, the scales, the magic peel, the this and that, we're always throwing up your wish list on your Amazon tools. So we use that a lot in our classes. So
yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, I've got to update my blog. It's been dormant for a while.
You're also doing.
No, it takes a while for volcanoes to get there.
Yeah, it takes a while, Dad. Come on. So what's going on with the spinning pizza things? What's going on there?
Oh, that's just like a goofy side account, a side Instagram account I run.
So, I love it.
Called Spinning Pizza Thing. It's just like I put a slice of pizza on a turntable and then take a video of it.
I love it, man.
It's just kind of dumb.
Hey, it's not. People love that stuff, man. They want to see where you're eating. Everybody's living. I mean, these days we're all living vicariously through other people.
Yeah.
The reality is we're eating vicariously through other
Yeah.
people. So please keep spinning pies. Please keep eating pies. Please keep letting us know. I just got to say, I really appreciate.
I kind of view it as the burning Yule log channel. Like you could just sit there and watch the pizza spin forever.
Tell you, we got to get you on Pluto Network. My goodness.
Yeah.
Spinning pie.
Pluto Network.
Noel, you got anything you want to jump?
No, you guys are killing it. Keep it going.
Yeah. So, I also, I started just to go on with the steel stuff. I've got, I guess, 3 of the regular steels. I actually supported them on the initial Kickstarter campaign. So I was one of the initial. I still have the bag that was made out of the, the billboard sign. So I that from my original Kickstarter. I also have a griddle. For a long time, I was cooking on the griddle inside my little Breville Smart Oven. But I tell you, only get uni size, 11-inch pizzas on that tiny griddle. So that's why I was able to get. I was able to find this guy on eBay that would cut. I also got a pizza stone cut for my uni coda and for my stone cut. So I've been. I'm an all opportunity pizza steel offender, so to speak. When I do product, Noel and I, it's very interesting. Noel and I kind of differ on that. He's a pizza stone kind of guy, and I'm a steel guy. But it's like, again, it's that objective nature about what works best for you with tools that you've got at hand. We always say it's a sliding scale, guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It is a sliding scale. One size does not necessarily fit.
Yeah.
So very, very excited. Noel, you want to hit a few more of these questions? See if anybody wants to jam on it.
Yeah.
Adam?
Well, are there any that are relevant to what Adam's been talking about, or just kind of general stuff?
Just kind of general here. I mean, once again, Adam kind of spurned the debate with you and I, or we like to talk about cubed cheese, sliced cheese, shredded cheese, all that kind of stuff. Adam, I think you had a really good idea. I think we had some questions yesterday talking about if you can't get brick cheese, some of the cheese blends that people use to kind of like recreate some of that stuff. I believe that you were talking about a special cheese blend that you like on some of the specialty pizzas. Somebody's asking about Galabani whole milk, low moisture. Now, I think what we like to use is the Grande if we can get it. However, I can't get it, so I'm definitely using Galabani whole milk, low moisture.
Yeah.
For my cubed cheese that I can get at First Street, baby. What street? First Street, ladies and gentlemen. That is Smart and Final if you're on the West Coast.
Yeah, Galbani, that's what I use when I go to a regular grocery store. I'll grab Galbani. Actually, Galbani mostly I grab. Typically, though, I used to go to Trader Joe's every week before the pandemic, and I was using the Trader Joe's whole milk mozzarella. That stuff worked perfectly, and here it was like $4.99 a pound. It was cheaper than anything in the local grocery store. But when I go to the local, I get Galbani, and I don't know if you've noticed, I'm sure people out here have noticed, they came out with a firm texture, or they always had just Galbani, and it was a firmer texture than, I don't know like on the East Coast, we have Polly-O. Polly-O is it's a whole milk mozzarella. It's a softer texture. I didn't like using Polly-O because when it melts like in these little plops, and it doesn't melt quite as, oh, you know what? It melts very, very well, but then in my oven, it starts cooking and browning very quickly. And then you have these distinct plops of browned, hard cheese. And it doesn't look like the cheese back here in my background. It looks like white, almost like scalded milk. So I never really liked Polly-O for that reason. So I would get Galbani. Now Galbani came out with a softer texture cheese, and it does the same thing. It's basically seems like they are answering Polly-O's softer texture, but you can get both. I just stick with the firmer texture. And like I know you guys are talking about Grande. I use that when I can, but you have to either get that from a wholesaler or like a special restaurant outlet. I get that from a market over in Long Island, about a 30-minute drive from me, that sells special commercial products to the public. Yeah. But it's difficult for most people to find Grande if they're not in the food service industry.
And I just want to just jump on that kind of as a parallel. We often talk about like pepperonis and the Ezzo Pizza, the pepperoni company, the Ezzo sausage company, and just somebody that's answering that. I believe Hormel is now doing a cup and crisp pepperoni.
Yes,
a lot of to make that type of pepperoni accessible to people.
Yeah.
Can buy it in the store. Just as like people in the market keeps evolving. Everybody's making pizza. There was a run on flour, run on yeast. Now people are at home, the whole sourdough starter thing. And you see a lot of these people, just like what we were talking about earlier, the pizza liners, the this, the that. How do you, it seems like the technology is really evolving here. So I haven't tried any of those cup and crisps because I'm using a purveyor that I was buying some not Ezzo. It's somebody else that I was using, and bag I got, everything was like shredded. So I don't think I'm going to use it anymore, unfortunately. Tried to reach out to them a couple times. They never got back to me. But so next time I'll be talking about the cup and crisps, and I'll give you guys a full review on that. So, so there you go. No?
Justin, it looks like we had some questions in the chat, and I wonder if Adam has any experience working with all-trumps and bromated flour, and just the more traditional flours that people have been using on the East Coast to make New York pizza. Adam, did you start with that stuff when you were on your original pizza journey?
I always stayed away. I never used all-trumps. I've always been pretty much sticking with King Arthur flour for the bar pies. And I finally hit upon, I just use King Arthur AP for the bar pies. Sometimes I blend it with King Arthur bread flour.
There you go.
But for all trumps, I've experimented a little bit, and this is where I need to up my own game. And this is where I've had a tough time with all trumps, but I've only experimented with it a couple times.
Got it.
And one of the big reasons, professional bakers out there in this chat will know, all trumps, it's often bromated. I think they do have a non-bromated version, but the bromated version is what like a lot of New York pizzerias typically, especially if they're like old school, dating back to the 60s, the 70s, they're probably using all trumps flour. It's bromated, it's bleached. Bleach doesn't bother me. Bromation though, it can be a carcinogen. It's listed as a carcinogen if you don't bake it completely. So a lot of places that are more concerned with, with health, I mean, will stay away from all trumps, and you'll see a lot of places like, I think, Noel, you can answer me this. I think in California, you can't use it. And Europe bans bromated flour.
Yeah.
So you can't even get it in like Europe or California. And if you're in the US or like on the East Coast here, the only way you can get all trumps bromated flours is to go again to one of these specialty stores that sells it to the public. The one I go to, again, it breaks down the big 50-pound bags into, they put it in a wholesale bin, and you can scoop out as much as you need.
Sure.
But when I make it here, I only make it for myself. I don't feed it to my kid.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
you know, like again, the crazy thing is though, like I go to all these slice shops and I eat pizza made from it. Like you're almost guaranteed if you go to some of these run-of-the-mill slice shops that aren't like kind of that haven't evolved into what bromated flour. Basically, like a lot of the old school slice shops in New York, you've eaten it. So,
sure.
I mean, and who knows? So
I'm still alive.
I'm on the fence about it. Yeah, I'm still alive too. Knock on wood.
You know what's interesting? So, in my journey, I'll go to a new pizzeria, and then I'll go to the restroom and see if I can peek into the kitchen to see what kind of flour they're using. I'll even go around the back and see, I've actually seen some deliveries going in, and I've been to some of the old school places, and I know what flours they're using. Pillsbury is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It's bleached and bromated and everything else. But like, I remember back in the day, Sal and Carmine's, I was absolutely transfixed by that pizza. And it was when I was a kid, I had family on the Upper West Side. I had an aunt who was a bookkeeper up in Harlem, or in the high 80s on Broadway, and we would go to Sal and Carmine's, and it was the best slice ever, right? And so when I was, when I started reading your blog and I went to New York and was living there, I would go to Sal and Carmine's every day almost on my way back from school, or just from hitting up 3 or 4 other pizzerias. And I would stop by and talk to those guys, and I knew they were using Pillsbury. And when I finally got my hands on the flour, I feel like my heart was broken, because you can kind of see from the flour that it's really so over-treated that there's no flavor left. I know flour is technically alive, but I've had my hands on a lot of different flours over the years, and a Pillsbury flour to me, even though it might perform well, it just didn't feel like the kind of ingredient that I wanted to use. But I gotta say, the way it comes out of the oven at some of New York's oldest school pizzerias, it's almost like the whole is greater than the sum of the parts, and they have a way of making it work, and it's thin and crispy and perfectly brown, and I don't know what to say. I'm torn like you. So, Justin, we'll leave it at that. What do you say?
I think that's good. I don't know about any of those. I haven't used Pillsbury. If I'm even for bench, I don't like to. Something.
I got it. So Adam, we've talked about our first class, and we're going to do all those beautiful ideas we talked about. I'm excited about that. We talked about a second class, which is going to be bar pies. Have we even talked about a third class yet?
Have we? I don't know, but
I'd
be open to it.
Good.
No, I don't think we have, but I'd be open to it.
Well, one of the things that I want just to put in your head right now is this idea of doing one that's based on pop-ups. And so I know there are a lot of people out there who've got all kinds of those beautiful little ovens, right? You've said you have a Breville.
Yeah.
Justin, you've got an Uni. I know that people out there are using Rockbox. So I think it would be really fun to do a class for all the people. And you could also use a home oven, whatever you've got, gas or electric. But I think we should do a class that's for pop-up people, and see what kind of beautiful quality we can get using all those different kinds of ovens.
Yeah.
Let me just throw it out there, because I don't want to say you're the king of pop-ups, right? You're a lot of things. You may not yet be that, but for me, no, but I've been watching those Margot pop-ups since you started doing them, and I never was able to go to one. But the pizzas look great. And I also think that, for people who are struggling with, let's say, just to do 30, 40 pizzas, that's a big jump. How many pizzas were you doing at Margot's?
We do like 36 to 40 in a
span
of, 2 hours?
Yeah. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about that is that I don't know if you remember, but the way that we met was that I was poking around on your Slice blog, and I did a post, or I asked in one of the other posts, has anybody ever used a 30-quart Hobart? And I had just gotten my first pizza job as a professional, and I'd never used a Hobart before, and I was just looking for a little bit of advice, because I'd made 6 pizzas in my apartment. Maybe a double batch would be 10 or 12, but I never even thought about making 30 or 50 or 100 pizzas in a night. So I feel like this could be a great resource for people who are looking to scale up. And I'm sure you've learned a lot, right, from your pop-ups. And one of the things that I see, I still remember in my head, there was a picture online of this triangle, and it was a bunch of stacked pizzas that you had. I think they were all rising in the pans, and you were getting ready to fire them. And I think like that was, I just saw that, and I'm like, all right, that looks great, because if I was going to gear up to launch 36 or 40 pies, if you have them all ready to go and a lot of your prep is out of the way, and then you can just go and get those pies out quickly, that looks like a great workflow. So I think hopefully you have a lot of knowledge. I'm sure you've made every mistake in the book, and you've been in the weeds, and pies aren't coming out fast enough, or maybe they're not hitting the quality that you're looking for. So hopefully we can help people get to that next level.
Yeah.
Good. And then hold on, I got another idea. Maybe Margot can help with this. Margot, we're going to be doing a kids pizza class, and Justin's going to be the co-host. And we have another friend from the East Coast who's going to be teaching the classes. Do you think you could help us? Because here's the thing, a lot of kids right now aren't going to school, and they need help with math and science and what do they call it? Home ec. That's what they used to call it, cooking. So I thought maybe we could provide some assistance to kids who want to learn about addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and why not do pizza for math geeks, or math for dough heads, or something like that, where we teach people math because they love pizza. It's kind of like we trick them. Let me know if you want to help out with that. All right. Good. And we'll cut you in for some pennies in your piggy bank. You're going to need a bigger piggy bank if kids still have those. I'll have my attorney call your attorney. Okay, Margot? Excellent. Justin, how's our Q&A looking?
Yeah, good. I mean, we've just got some stuff. We're talking some flowers. David Zucker's actually got something. He had the same experience with that poly O. He was under the impression that Defaria actually uses that poly O cheat. And did you know if that was the case?
That I don't know if they're using it now. Back when I was visiting more often, and obviously COVID I haven't been, but even before COVID I hadn't been in quite a while. But when I was going more often, I think they were using Grande. I would see bags of Grande and like tubs of Grande that they would use. They definitely were using Grande for whole milk, or for the fior di latte. So, but he also could have, he's been known to switch up. That's the thing. Like, everybody thinks that Dom is a bug, and I probably contributed to this on Slice in the past, but I think everybody thinks Dom is like this bug trapped in amber from 1964 or whatever, and that's what 1964 pizza used to be. But I've talked to his kids, I've talked to Dom Jr., and they basically said Dom had, when he was there, I think somebody pointed out in the chat that he's actually retired. Sidebar, I don't know if actually he's retired. I've seen that he's not making the pizzas there during this COVID era, and God knows why, because he's advanced in age, and who nobody wants him getting that stuff. But anyway, when Dom was making it, one thing that stuck out to me is Dom Jr. told me that somebody in the press might write something about him that was maybe a tiny bit inaccurate, like, oh, he puts fresh basil on after it comes out of the oven. Then Dom would read that, and he said that he would feel like he had to live up to that, and so that would influence him and change his way of making things. So, I mean, he has evolved that pizza over the years. When I was going most often, I would say he was using, like Grande, Fior di Latte, Grana Padano, which he'd buy in huge wheels and grind it himself. But yeah, I have seen him using Grande whole milk mozzarella, but I don't know about the polio.
Got it.
Good.
Got it. Thank you, Adam.
We just have a couple on those things. people are asking like what type of mas is used for the Neapolitan style, maybe at like a Keste or a Pauly G's, maybe people are asking.
Oh, I know, like for most Neapolitans, well, like strict Neapolitan, you would be using a buffalo mozzarella, mozzarella di bufala, made with the milk of a water buffalo. For a lot of reasons in the US, a lot of places don't use that. They now use cow's milk, fresh mozzarella, fior di latte. Excuse my terrible pronunciation of Italian. I took Spanish and German in my previous lives. But yeah, for New York style, they'd probably be using a fresh cow's milk mozzarella. You can get buffalo mozzarella in the US. It comes imported from Italy. There's also a place, I believe, I think it's New York, like Hudson Valley, or New Jersey. I think it's Riverine Farms, and they're raising water buffalo and trying to, and they actually have made buffalo milk mozzarella. I actually saw it at the farmer's market in my neighborhood, and I need to buy it one of these days and try it out on pizza. But the problems I think people have had in the past with buffalo milk mozzarella imported from Italy is that by the time it gets here, it's like 2 or 3 days old at the freshest. And people, from what I've heard, I've never been to Italy. It's a huge hole in my pizza game. But from what I've heard, you have to have that stuff like immediately fresh for it to be at its best. I mean, what they do, they freeze it, they flash freeze it and bring it over. But still, I don't know if I've ever had like actual fresh buffalo milk mozzarella to compare to what that Riverine Farms, like the US raised stuff, would be. And from what I know too, it's very difficult to raise water buffalo. Like for some reason, like Italians have it down. They've been doing it for centuries. When people have tried various schemes in the US to import a few and like breed them and raise a little herd to milk them, it's been very difficult for whatever reason. There's like, I think in 2016 or so, there was a great article in the New York Times about some guy in California, I think up in Marin County, who was trying to raise them and having all sorts of problems. And it took him like years to even get to his first batch of milk to make into mozzarella. But I think now he's rolling. I can't remember the name of the place offhand. I think now he's making it, but he's not making a ton of it. Wait, where was it going? Yeah, so that's the short story. Like at Pauly G's when I was there, I can't remember where he's getting it. Pauly was very secretive about a lot of things. So the cheese, I was never there when the shipments came in, and I think he was secretive about where he got his cheese, but it was fresh mozzarella. And we get big, like 10-pound loaves of it, and we would unwrap it from the plastic and run it through the mesh or wires. I think it was a guitarra, I believe is what it is, because it looks like a guitar in Italian. We'd run it through the wires to shred it. We would make it into big shreds. In some places, they'll slice it into like little loaves and put a little loaves on. We would make it shredded because we weren't really making like traditional. Right. All right, what do you need, Margot?
She's getting bored. I'm starting to get bored too. Guys, I've been sharing the results of some of our polls. So I don't know if you've been, Adam and Justin, I don't know if you noticed them, but I'm kind of sharing what everybody's answers is by percentage. So a lot of interesting data out there in terms of who they are, where they are, pre-ferments they're using, mixers they use, favorite flours, stuff like that. I think it's all pretty fascinating.
You have a question?
Thank you to everybody who shared.
Yeah, thanks guys for sharing.
Why don't you ask?
And we've also
I have a question.
We've also got some interesting tips here in the Q&A and the chat that Dan, you can get all Trump's high gluten,
You want to ask it?
unbromated.
Why don't you ask? Say, I have a question.
You can get that on Amazon. And then another person, Raf, said he showed us an Instacart. You can get buffalo mozzarella at Costco, but like what we were talking about, what Adam was just saying, and what we talked about last night with Michele is that stuff is flash frozen, guys. And so you're paying for a name and it might not have the same quality. What Michele was talking about is that buffalo mozzarella was made that morning and is on a pizza that afternoon, usually traditionally in the Neapolitan countryside of Naples. So yes, Margot, you have a question. I would love to hear it.
I guess I just want to know more about the kids' pizza thing.
Oh, ho, 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 ho. Me too. So there's a couple of things
Also,
that.
it says ye instead of yes.
What? Well, I'm sorry if I made a typo. I'm typing fast and doing a lot of things. So there's going to be a lot of things that we do with kids pizza. So one of the things that we want to do, I know I already talked about math and science. I want to do like pizza with art. And here's what I mean by that. I don't know if you've had a chance to go online, Margot, and see some of the beautiful pizzas that people are making. But what you can do is you can take toppings, and instead of just using sauce and cheese like me and your dad are talking about, you can actually, let me see if I can find a link real quick to show you. You can actually make beautiful art and use pizza as a canvas. So for people who are not that into math, look up on Google, drawing on focaccia with vegetables. Drawing on focaccia with vegetables. There's a lot of beautiful stuff going on. So, a lot of people think about pizza as something to eat, and I definitely do too. But I think we could teach kids about math and science and art, and also just generally like how to cook, right? How to mix. Kids are smart. They know more than we give them credit for. So with everybody home right now, you're probably driving your dad crazy and your mom crazy, and you're really smart. And I want to put you to work. I want you to help teach other kids all the stuff you already know. Margot, you know what I think is special about you? I asked you a question a few weeks ago. I said, what do you like better, pizza or math? Do you remember what you said? You said math. Were you lying? Were you fibbing? You were telling the truth, right? I love math too. So maybe we can teach people math and science and pizza and art and all kinds of fun stuff like that. All right. Here's what we're going to do, Margot. We're going to have a kids pizza free webinar. It could be as early as next weekend. So keep an eye on your dad's Instagram and mine, and I'll let you know when it is, and I'll make sure we get you in even if we're sold out, okay? Because I want you to see what we're doing. And if you want, maybe you can co-teach a class or two. You can definitely attend. Don't worry. All right. We're going to get you in VIP style. Adam, VIP style for Margot all the way.
All right.
I mean, how old are you, Margot? You're about 8 years old? When you're about 18 or 19, you're going to probably have at least 10 pizzerias. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they're going to have your name on them or your dad's name on them. Maybe they'll have Justin's name on them. But I'm pretty sure you're going to be a famous pizza person just because you're the heir to the Adam Kuban pizza dynasty. You're like pizza royalty. You don't realize it yet, do you? You're already famous and you're only 8 years old. That's amazing. But Margot, you know what I always say? With power comes responsibility. So if you're gonna be a powerful pizza person, you need to learn how to make pizza really well, even better than your dad if that's possible. Unless you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to be a doctor. Maybe you want to be a scientist. I don't know what you want to be. But let's make some pizza together in the kids' pizza class, and we can talk. You have plenty of time to decide, right? Thank you for attending, Margot. Thank you for attending, Adam.
Yeah.
Justin.
Thanks.
Thank you guys so very much, Adam.
You guys are the best. Adam, looking forward to working with you, as always.
Always a pleasure to spend some quality time with you and Margot. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Yeah, boss, what are you thinking? You want to run through these last couple questions? We only have a few.
Yeah, why don't we run through questions, and then I'll give like a brief goodbye and a little bit of a summary, and then you can take us out.
Copied that. So yeah, we talked about all trumps. Greg has got, can you use a naturally leavened dough? Would adding a biga give you more rise in the crust if it was naturally leavened?
Yeah, so the thing with a biga is that, here's my understanding of it. The Italian flour generally was somewhat weak. And the reason it was weak is that in certain parts of Italy, the growing conditions for flour weren't great, for wheat flour. And so you find, especially in the north, where it's very cold, that a lot of the European countries switched to rye. right? A lot of the Scandinavian countries are famous for their rye bread. Germany, Austria, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, great rye. And that was by necessity. And so one of the ways that the Italians who were growing wheat were able to strengthen their dough was to use a biga. And a biga is a very dry version of a pre-ferment. By dry, I mean low hydration.
45,
So that
right?
45, 48, 50, very low. And so that, by using a low hydration pre-ferment, they were able to add strength to the dough and a lot of beautiful flavor as well. All kinds of stuff. Staying power, beautiful color. That's why Michele doesn't have to use any sugar in his dough, because he gets all of the natural color from natural fermentation. So yeah, a biga is a way to definitely add some strength to your dough, and that will give your cornicione hopefully some crumb structure and some extra rise. So good idea.
Traditionally, like a biga will add a little bit more strength than a pouliche, right?
Correct. A
So-
pouliche does not add strength. It adds enzymatic activity and flavor, right? And all kinds of beautiful stuff that you get from pre-ferments.
Very nice. So have you ever used the Supremo Italiano 00 flour?
I have
Supremo?
not. I'm gonna have to make a note and look that one up.
Okay.
Is that it must? I mean, there's so many beautiful 00 flours out there. I have not used them all.
Cool. Well, we answered everything. I think that I just want to finish up with Greg. Greg, thanks for asking this. This is one we often kind of like wax on. What is next? What's next for pizza? What is the next big evolution of pizza pie that's coming? Is it Detroit, or where do we see pizza going? So my 2 cents is like, it's not Detroit. Like Detroit has been done. Like we're in the midst of seeing the downturn, like Detroit being on the cover of Pizza Today, and Instagram being full with the cheese crowns and the Frico crusts. I think that maybe who knows? What I'd like to do is I'd like to go back and do like round deep dish pies. I'd like to recreate, like, call me crazy, but let's go back to the old school Pizza Hut pies. The old school ones. We don't need to do Neapolitan had its time, Detroit style had its time. Let's go back. Let's bring back the Frico crust on those things and pitchers of beer from the old school, but let's not do it in one of those track ovens. Let's cook it on a hearth. Let's get a really nice crisp on it. We don't have a gum line in there. We've got nice structure all throughout. That's maybe something that I would like to maybe look at. So using some of those Detroit techniques in a more traditional kind of like quote unquote American style pan pizza is something that it brings back memories. And you guys know that I like to talk about, it's not just feeding my tummy, but it means something to me, because I remember playing Galaga, messing with the old, the jukebox, my parents drinking pitchers of beer, and that little cubed ice of the Pizza Huts of days gone, when they did have little crunchy cheese around the crust. Yeah. Okay. So Anthony Falco's got that butter crust. Is that, yeah. So I love that stuff. So let's go there. Let's check it out. So Noel, anything?
Yeah, I'm looking around. I'm sending some links to Margot right now. I wanted her to know what some of the focaccia bread art is looking like. So there's some cool stuff on Pinterest, or if you want to see some of that stuff. Yeah, to answer your question, Justin, though, one of the things that I think is so interesting right now is that because we're all kind of trapped at home, there's a lot of do-it-yourself pizza and bread making. And I have a funny feeling that by people being trapped at home and learning to make better pizza and learning to incorporate pre-ferments and getting all into mixing styles and DDTs, I have a feeling that when this is over, assuming it's over at some point, whatever that looks like, and we're going out to our neighborhood pizzerias, I feel like the home pizza maker is going to drive the quality of restaurant and pizzeria pizza up.
Yeah.
Because
all
the obvious reasons.
Yeah, I mean they've evolved in their tastes, right?
Yeah.
The consumer will dictate.
Yeah.
We don't want to. I mean, depending on what you like, if you like that pizza, but maybe you want something with a longer fermentation schedule. Maybe you want something with a little bit more, that's not as limp as some of the other things. Maybe you want a Neapolitan 2.0, not a 1.0. Maybe you want Detroit style that actually has got its sauce cooked on it, not just dolloped on top. There are all these different ways. And let's just keep, what I love about it is I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's so subjective, but we just got to make pizzas to figure out our pizza equation, figure out our pizza frequency. So fun stuff. For sure.
Good.
Yeah, Mike wants to know, are we going to let people know when the classes are launched?
Yeah, we're definitely going to do that. I wish we had them launched already, but Adam and Michele and Dan are so busy that it's hard enough just to get them on the phone for 20 minutes. So what I'm going to spend the rest of the day today and tomorrow on and Monday is getting these classes up. But I think Michele's class is up, but there's not a link yet to register because I don't have his full recipe. And so same thing for Dan and same thing for Adam. So as soon as I get that stuff up and running, I will get it online. But there will be placeholders on the calendar so you can see what the date is. And so hopefully I'll get that stuff up in the next few days. I apologize for all the delays, everyone. But now that Justin and I are scaling up, there's a lot going on the back end of the website, having to coordinate MailChimp with Google Analytics and making sure that everything is the site is running faster and more efficiently. Justin, you were going to say something?
No, sorry.
That's all right. So it might seem like just getting something on the calendar is actually a much easier thing, but we're trying to actually make everything run better and more efficiently for y'all. So we had to upgrade to a server because we used to get like 5 people on the website a day, and now sometimes we get 200. And so if you've got 25 or 30 people on the website after I do like an Instagram post, it used to slow it down like 90%. So now the website doesn't slow down anymore. So there's just a lot of back-end stuff that we're doing, and I don't want to bore you guys with it, but it's going to actually make everything run better and more efficiently. Also, we really want to make sure that we're not spamming you guys. And so by not spamming you guys, I mean, we launched part of our website where we could have people give testimonials. And Justin, you remember this. For about 2 weeks, every time we'd finish up a class, everybody would get 8, 9, 10 spam emails from us, right? So we had to kind of take that off. Actually, Justin, if you feel like it, if you want to put that link in the chat, I don't know if you have it around. If people want to leave a testimonial, that would be awesome. So a lot of you have been giving us support through Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and just telling your friends. So we don't really have an advertising budget yet. So we appreciate all the support. But if you want to leave a kind word on our website and let people know what you think of what we're doing, that's always appreciated. So yeah, so this is really great. I appreciate you all coming. One of my missions in life, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is I know some of the great pizza makers out there, and sometimes they'll take my calls or they'll return my texts, but those people don't really need my help. And what I'm looking to do is work with people like Adam, right? And he doesn't need my help either. He was doing it way before me, but I really like what he's doing, and I like the way that he thinks about pizza. And so if I can help spread Adam Kuban love and get him doing a couple classes with me and get more people thinking about pizza the way Adam thinks about it, I think the world will be a better place. Somebody like Dan Richer, I got a couple text messages from y'all saying, hey, Dan's on the A list. What are you talking about? Don't be dissing Dan. He might be on the A list, and he's on my A list for sure. He's at the tippy top. He's like top 3 for me, like in the United States, right? But I spend a lot of time thinking about pizza, talking about pizza, dreaming about pizza, and then when I go out into the real world, now when I say Chris Bianco, everybody knows who I'm talking about, pretty much, right? Even Daniele Uditi, right? He's been on some of the Netflix shows. People know who he is. But still to this day, Dan Richer at Razza does not ring a bell with 99% of the people I talk to. So I'm happy to have him on, and I'm absolutely sure that in the coming years he is going to be at the very top of the pizza food chain. And to me, he already is, but sometimes the media takes 5 or 10 years to catch up with pizza reality, right, Justin?
Absolutely.
So anyway, I'm happy to work with y'all. I'm sure some of the people who've attended our webinars the last 2 days are also going to be at or near the top of the food chain in the coming years. So I'm excited to work with you all. And let's Justin, on that note,
just real quick, Noel, we did have Joe was asking are there any packages available for the classes? Right now, there currently aren't, but it's something that we're going to try to work on. Like Noel says, on the back end, we're trying to figure out the navigation, the application, the integration with the website to make it more accessible and a real resource that people can use. Noel, you want to talk?
Yeah. So guys, just so you understand, like the way that we're working right now is that we want to be offering deep discounts on the pre-recorded classes, on the on-demand classes, because once those are recorded and Justin does his guerrilla style editing on them, which is awesome, then we can get them up online and give you guys pretty good discounts. The Zoom classes that we do live, there will probably never be any discounts for those. The only thing that we'll say is that once you take a live class with us, we'll give you discounts on the on-demand classes. But for me, they're premium products and they take a lot of energy. And especially now that we're bringing in people like Adam and Dan and Michele, I mean, we try to pay them as well as we can. So that not only will they want to work with us, but they'll feel like we appreciate them. So there's a lot of cost right now to doing what we do, and I wish that I could say, all right, if you want to do the beginning, intermediate, and advanced, we'll give you 25% off, and we can do that on demand. But right now, there's not going to be any discount for live classes.
There we have it, guys. We're trying to bring the pizza knowledge. So Noel, I just want to say thank you to you. I want to say thank you to Dan. I want to say thank you so much to Adam and Margot. It was wonderful to spend this afternoon with everybody. Guys, what we're trying to do is we're just a bunch of pizza dorks and we want to talk pie. You know, we really think that coming together and breaking bread with people that you give a shit about is super important. And during these crazy times that we're all living with and living through, it's probably more important now than ever. Like anything in life, Noel and I talk about this, you have to build on a solid foundation. We think pizza is no different. That is why we have the beginner, intermediate, and advanced classes. We focus on the foundation, the dozy dough, the doji dough, if you will. Because if you take time to nurture and listen and love and talk to your dough and love your dough and tell it how proud you are that it's going to grow up and be a delicious pizza, and then you eat it, you know, those things, the pizza will give back to you, and it will nurture not only your belly, but your soul too. So please, guys, keep making pizza. In the words of Chris Bianco, you burn, you learn. So keep burning those pies, keep making mistakes, keep taking notes. We can't stress that enough, guys, because if you figure out your process, if you figure out your pizza equation and you don't know how you got there because a recipe does not a pizza make, you're going to want to go back and look at your notes and try to recreate it. And that's something that we do go over a lot in the classes. So guys, please, please, please come back and see us. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. You know, stay safe, stay strong out there. Please, please, please be long with one another. The opposite being short, guys, because hey, we all belong here together. And like I've said before, and I will say it again, pizza always, even pineapple. And always pizza, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Noel's at Slow Rise Pizza. I'm at Justin Clark Dre and at Pizza Frequency. So hope to see you guys out there. See you again soon. Thanks so much for spending some QT with us. Pieces.